Disclaimer. This show is for discussion and entertainment purposes only. The Finding Gnosis show is a platform for open discussion, exploration, and opinion sharing. The views expressed by hosts, guests, and participants are personal opinions and do not constitute professional, medical, legal, or financial advice. All topics discussed are only intended to spark curiosity, entertain, and encourage independent thought. If any subject interests you, we strongly advise conducting your own thorough research using reliable and professional sources. Critical thinking and due diligence is key. Stay curious, stay informed, be well, be lucky, and don't be an arsehole.
Through the cosmic indifference and through despair, we dig for meaning that might be there. No promises of comfort or bliss, just truths we strive not to dismiss. This is the Finding Gnosis show, where illusions break and deeper truths grow. Philosophy and thought light the way through the dark toward a brighter day. Not endless struggle, but a fight worth the cost, seeking the meaning we thought was lost. Pessimism asks, why even try? We answer with questions reaching the sky. A critique of the systems, the myths we hold, a reflection on truths both stark and bold. Depressive realism clears the haze, while hope takes root in critical gaze. We search for a path, no matter how steep, to find the truths that lay buried deep. This is the Finding Gnosis show, where illusions break and deeper truths grow. Philosophy and thought light the way through the dark toward a brighter day. Not endless struggle, but a fight worth the cost, seeking the meaning we thought was lost. Promise ease, we don't promise rest, but a journey to uncover what's best. In cosmic indifference we still find might, to question, to change, and to ignite. Welcome to Finding Gnosis, where truth takes a stand. Together we search, together we understand. Through reflection, critique, and bold exploration, we strive for meaning and revelation. The journey begins, the truth will unfold. This is the Finding Gnosis show.
Hello and welcome, people. I do hope you are exceedingly well. We're live again. This is the 41st Finding Gnosis show already. The Finding Gnosis show. And tonight the topic is Descent and Transcendence, Addiction, Mental Health, and the Dark Night of the Soul. Stuff people have been through, perhaps stuff they've come out the other side of, maybe stuff they're in the middle of, and just what is learned by these kinds of experiences. What can one grasp at? Any meaning there within? Anything to say about existence? Anything to say about prior held thoughts before you descended into the abyss? Anything to say about the abyss? Anything to say now that some of you perhaps have managed to climb out of it or are on your way up out of it? These are the kinds of questions. So hopefully we might learn something along the way to help somewhat any of us, any dear listeners who are suffering. And, it's always good to relieve some suffering. So do say hello if you are here. Lomik says hello. Hello to Lomik. Welcome. The link is in the chat there if you want to join the conversation panel. That's the way this show goes. It is basically a lot of the time a talk show. So you can come on here and you can talk about this and that and see where it gets us. So yeah, if you're there, say hello. We will get going, and we will get the conversation flowing. Always takes a brave entity amongst you to step up. And just as I say that, one has stepped up, and it is none other than Lady Chickpea. Lady Chickpea, welcome, my dear.
Hello.
Welcome, my dear. It's one of your favorite topics, actually, isn't it?
Yes, I
Mental
love
health.
it. Love it. Yes, love it.
So yes,
Yeah.
we're talking about descent into near madness, or even madness, I suppose.
No.
No, not just you, not just you. I know you have a different. But I'm saying in general. But go ahead. What were you about to say?
Well, I think actually us miserable, depressed ones see life what it truly is. Just like the shrink told me.
That's what
I read it somewhere. I've been reading the works of what's his name, Prince
Machiavelli.
Yeah.
The Prince.
Yes. Well, I've just started reading it. Yeah.
What do you think of that book?
Yeah. Have you read it?
Yes, and I think it's whilst true, it's also a little bit evil that he didn't come to the conclusion that existence is fucked, and it's like he didn't advise people some way or other to kind of rise above it. He kind of just advised people to go with it, and be evil basically, which is shitty. But hey ho. He was talking about how to be He was talking about how to be successful in the upper echelons,
yes.
We are living in a psychoarchy, so it's no surprise that you have to be a little bit this way, a little bit that way, a little bit evil, to get on in life. By the way, we have another incomer, Lomik. Welcome to the show.
Oh, hello
there.
Hey, how's it going?
Very, very well, sir. Thank you very much. And you?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, not great, but
I'm sorry to hear that.
Well, it's been decades, so it's normal. But thanks for your channel. I came across your channel a few weeks ago, and I really loved your series there on the Pistis Sophia. I thought that was fascinating.
Oh, wow. Okay, Lomik. Well, we have a newbie in the house. That's fantastic. We always like newbies, and it's always good to have a new kind of perspective on things. Now, I'm sorry to hear, but you sound like a very young person. I was going to ask you, I was going to do an age check, but you say that you've been suffering for decades from feeling a bit shitty, have you?
Yeah, I might sound younger. I also look younger than I am, but I'm actually going to be 50 this year.
No need to brag, brother.
No, I'm not bragging. I'm not bragging because it's actually, yeah. See, that's why I loved your channel, because there was so much good humor. Like the way you would read Pistis Sophia and they said, "My Lord." It was just brilliant. Thank you.
Okay. But I appreciate that. So you're a 50-year-old man who sounds and looks younger, you bastard. And but you have been feeling shitty for decades, and you're walking around. You're half a century of biology, emotion, and you've been feeling shitty for a lot of that.
Yeah, it's just shitty. About 20 in the 90s, I started getting panic attacks, and nobody back then knew anything about them, and we didn't really have internet to help us. And That was in the 20s. I still survived. I still did well and worked and everything, and and then in my 30s or at 33, I had a full like breakdown of my digestive system, and I've never been right since. And it's just been an absolute. I talk to my friends and my girlfriend, and I'm just like, when I think back, it's just been a nightmare.
Shit, man, I'm sorry to hear that. So, yeah, I've heard this. I've heard. Luckily, I haven't had that, but I know people who've had like problems with like stomach ulcers, digestion, etc., because of mental health, and stress and all this. Is that kind of what happened to you then?
Honestly, I don't know, because it kind of correlated with me waking up at 33, and I do think that the wake up process early on, 2008 was a bit early, and
Right.
at the time I don't think it really. I didn't notice it affecting me mentally, but I think it might have had something to do with it, because it was very. It correlates a lot. It's like I woke up and I was like, God, I can't stomach this place. And then your stomach.
So you said 2008. It's interesting that coincided with the global economic crisis that we had back then. I remember that as well.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was a bit shitty. I'm a little bit younger than you. I'm a geriatric millennial, and I do
Okay.
remember that period in terms of job security, but also kind of. I mean, I was kind of lucky. I managed to stay in jobs. Well, I say lucky. I was working in the corporate world back then. I don't think anyone is particularly lucky in that world. But, what was I going to say? Basically, yeah, it was a time of worry and a time of doom and gloom.
Well,
And I suppose it depends what industry you were in. The industry I was in, well, funnily enough, I did change jobs during that period. And just before that happened, I was working in a media outlet. And that outlet was going very, very well for many years. And then when that happened, it kind of went downhill quite rapidly. After I left, I wonder, was it because I was a very good worker, or was it because of the economic downturn? I'll let you speculate on that one. But yeah,
Well,
it was a scary time.
Yeah, it was. And it was their clock or whatever. They started with their 2001. That was their first kind of big hitting of the bell. And then we had 2008, then we had 2012, where nothing much happened, but there was a change in
So you say
2012.
2001. Are you talking about 9/11 there, are you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember when that happened. Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
I found out about that in a sports bar, and yeah, I was in a sports bar, and I was only very young at the time, and I shouldn't have even been drinking, but I was in a sports bar after playing a match, and it came on the TV, and it was very, very shocking, very, very shocking. Hello to Curious Curmudgeon. Hopefully you'll join us, and Divine Hazel. A question for you, it seems, Lomik, from Curious Curmudgeon, who says, what does waking up mean specifically for you?
Well, okay, for me, I'm not gonna like make it some big grand thing, but I was completely asleep. I was just thinking about life and making, a career and making money, and I never thought about anything deep. I didn't think about a soul. I didn't think about existence. And 2008 was, it was a complete slap in the face wake up. It was. Yeah, you wake up. I mean, it's in the sense of like, oh, there's more to life than everything I was thinking before. So that's what I mean by that. Because by no means do I think I'm awake. But within about a year, I was reading the Nag Hammadi. So from 2008, yuppie, London, DJing and doing real estate, never thinking about anything deep. And then in 1 year, I wake up, and by the end of the year, I'm reading Nag Hammadi. And I'm like, fuck, archons, and I'm in a soul trap, and oh my Lord,
With Lomik, I am what is known as a secular Gnostic. I don't quite know if I believe the elements described within those texts, but I do question reality to the degree that if there is a creator, there must be something seriously disturbing about them. And also, I'm agnostic on the whole God thing. I don't know what's going on. That's why I have this channel.
Yeah, finding Gnosis, like that's what we're looking for. It
Yeah.
becomes well, for some of us it becomes an obsession. And
so
I guess you're looking everywhere you can, but the thing that resonated closest to me was the Gnostic text. But I would say then too, I'm a secular Gnostic. I do not believe in the text fully, but they're the ones that describe reality the closest to me. When they describe reality, when they talk about the pleroma, I don't know. I don't remember it.
Yeah.
But when
I
they
agree with you there.
discuss reality, and if Jesus says like, let the dead bury the dead, or the world is a corpse, those are things I can really agree with.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you. There's definitely more I can agree with in that than the Old Testament in the Standard Bible.
Oh, 100%.
I mean, if I had to choose a book in the Bible, it's the New Testament. I can kind of vibe with that Jesus dude because he seemed to be like a nice guy, But so I always found I did a little bit of this and a bit of that in terms of dabbling into like trying to find a religion. And I grew up a Catholic, didn't really think about that. That was just told to me. And that was more just following the herd. Then when I got to my, about 17, I stopped going to church because I got away from my parents. Now, my parents weren't like my mum used to light candles and that. But she, when we were doing exams or, we'd go to mass for every Sunday, but we weren't the type of family that like got the Bible out or sat around saying the rosary. You know what I mean? And my dad in particular I never really heard him talk about religion at all. Like, I mean, one time it was kind of joked at the table that I might become a priest, and he kind of balked, because I think to him priests meant gay or something, So, I'm not homophobic, but you know what I mean. The kind of stereotype back then, especially with
I'm definitely homophobic against the priest type.
Oh right, okay. Well, maybe pedophobic.
Pedophobic. That would be it. Yeah.
So, not all priests, by the way. We know that. We know that we don't. Not all priests are weird, but like there are some weirdos. But that's the same in everything. Now, you were talking about there are certain things in the Nag Hammadi and the Pistis Sophia and all these Gnostic texts that you've read that you can vibe with, some that you can't. But I also read the Tibetan Book of the Dead lately on my channel. Now, that book, again, there's a lot of weirdness in it, that I don't particularly agree with. But I do agree with like strands of thought running through it, and such as like the illusions, everything being an illusion and like being a reaction from within your own mind. And like obviously the Tibetan Book of the Dead is about when you're dead and trying to prevent rebirth. And it's in the place they call the Bardos, which is that place between death and rebirth. But I did find, and I'm going to write about a little article. I'm going to write a poem or something about it. I did find a lot of philosophical thought within it that could be a basis for how to live as well in life. Just seeing things for what they are a lot of the time, which is an illusion born from your own reaction to it. And that to me it was very powerful. The fact that a lot of things are just our reactions. That's not to say what we're reacting to isn't shit, but there's definitely something about being able to control one's reactions, one would hope.
Oh, that's a huge part of spiritual growth, in my opinion. Like this place would always try to trigger you, and once you don't get triggered anymore, once you have things in perspective, and you're like, wow, this place is not really going to bother me. I have bigger issues, like existential issues to worry about. Then you kind of level up beyond the dramas of the world. So for since I woke, I haven't had any dramas in my personal life. Like really? I don't have any issues personally. I just have physical ailments, and then of course I wouldn't say it's like hatred, but I definitely have like a disdain for how this world operates and works, and people's basic conversations. And I don't know, some people call them NPCs. I don't really like that word, but
no. I mean, I mean, to me, NPCs. Some people take that literally. Like, there's these people out there who aren't really in the game, and they're just there to kind of like test you. But I see them as human beings as well, and I don't like. I think it's quite dehumanizing to call them non-player characters. They are having their own lives. They have their own
But you
experiences.
do have those classifications in the Nagamari, though. You do have the Hylics, the Psychics, and the Pneumatics.
That's true.
So,
And even in Calvinism, they kind of have it. You know, in Calvinistic Christianity, they talk about, you know, in Calvinism, they don't believe in free will per se. They believe, well, they kind of do and they kind of don't. But they believe that God knows who is going to heaven and hell, and that basically he creates you knowing where you're going. Okay,
yeah,
which is kind of horrible. Right?
Yeah,
now, I just want to finish my point, Chip. I just want to finish my point. Basically, what that means is in Calvinistic Christianity, Presbyterianism, and such, they believe that there are such things as reprobates, the damned, people who walk amongst us, who God created, knowing they would be damned to hell forever. And basically, that's like their version of NPC, because they're here to test the rest of humanity, the believers.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about your family, but I got a large proportion of my family that fit into that category of like Hylics. Like they just don't have a chance, in my opinion. Like I don't think there's anything that can be said to them. I think that they're, you know, there's that saying of Jesus where he talks about like God threw out the seeds and some landed on the road, some on the earth, and some on the desert. Right? I mean, maybe I hate to say it. It's really hard. I don't like existence if it is that way, but it seems to be that way. Like there's just a lot of people here that just, I'm not going to call them MCCs, but they just don't care about the things we care about. And I've tried with my family for a long time. You know, I stopped a long time.
I want to bring in Chickpea because she was going to say something. Sorry, Chickpea.
Yeah. Hi, Chickpea. Hi, Chickpea. I've heard you on the live before. I like your
pessimism.
Yeah, I love your pessimism. I love pessimism because it's real to me. But I also love that, you know, like fuck eating these animals. I hate.
Oh, hooray! You're vegan, yes?
I think it's disgusting that we eating these. I mean, I'm vegetarian and not vegetarian off and on, but I hate eating them. I hate it, and I will only get meat like a local farmer once in a while because my body really needs it. I find after some weeks or months, but I hate the fact that we're forced to do that. It's disgusting.
It's salt. You know what? And I've learned this as a vegan because I've been vegan all my life. If you don't eat any meat, you eat far less salt than you would if you eat meat, if you get what I mean, because, of course, salt is used in the processing. So if you're vegan, you get very little salt, something you have to always remember to take. Yes, it's my big thing on life. If the world was vegan, I could cope with it here, but I hate the whole non-vegan issue, the whole
I had one thing there because I'd heard you mention that. You were like, yeah, if the world was vegan, you could handle it, but you can handle it. Yes. I can't handle watching. Like I've done my due diligence. I would watch it on purpose just to see it, but I can't watch a bear attack a wild boar.
Oh, bro, you just reminded me. This week, I unfortunately came across. Now, I since learned that the audio is probably fake. But it was the most horrible audio I ever listened to, regardless of that fact. And it was about that guy. I can't remember his name, Timothy something, Treadwell, or I don't know. He was this strange guy sometime in the within the first 5 years or so of the 2000s. And he used to go out somewhere in America where there was a shitload of grizzly bears, and he used to hang out with them, with his girlfriend. A very strange dude. I mean, yeah, and he got eaten by one. And so did his girlfriend.
Yeah.
And there was an audio came up on my Twitter feed, and I listened to it, and it's on YouTube as well. I mean, some say it's not the real audio, but I did watch a YouTube interview where his friend who has his phone showed the real audio to the journalist. Now, it wasn't played for the public, but the journalist listened to it, and he said, please, I can't take it anymore. And now the audio I listened to was of someone screaming and saying, leave me alone. Get away from me. And it was the most horrible, horrible, horrible thing to listen to. You could just imagine the poor people being tortured like horribly and dying awfully. But then it did make me think, well, this is people have died horribly and are dying horribly around the world throughout history. This has happened, but also I just imagined that voice that I heard, and it seared my heart and mind. You know, it's horrible. I just imagined that voice being emitted from an animal. You know, every day animals are getting eaten horribly, and
all 92
in nature.
billion of them, yes.
I'm talking about in nature now, wildlife suffering. You know,
Yeah.
I just imagined, like, you know, an elephant seems like quite a sentient being in my view. You know, apparently they there's thoughts that elephants and dolphins in particular might even have a greater capacity for emotional suffering than us.
Yeah, I'm sure they do, actually.
They do.
Sure
They've proven that they do.
I do. There's certainly better mothers.
And when you think about that, guys, if you listen to that video, it's the audio of the screaming, and I just imagine, like, imagine like this is happening all the time around the world to animals, you know.
Yeah, that's my argument against, like, vegetarianism for humans, for instance. I was like, it's great, we could all stop eating animals, but tigers are still going to murder zebras every day. Bears are going to. I mean, you watch a bear go for one of these wild boars. I mean, that wild boar is big, and that fight goes on for a long time, and they got skin hanging off of them. It's just the most horrific thing to watch. And you're like, that happens every day in nature. Every day, you know?
Every second of the day.
We have to do it. That doesn't mean us humans. I mean, surely we've got a higher IQ and a higher, hopefully.
No, that's very true. But we don't rip these animals apart. I mean, you know, we could do the slaughtering process way easier. Obviously, the people that run these slaughtering processes want to cause as much harm as possible. But if we were to run it, like, let's say us, we're like, okay, we're going to run.
Well, no, I wouldn't be running a slaughterhouse.
Well, I mean, for you, yeah, chickpea, you would be like, yeah, there's no meat eating.
Yeah,
but how would we stop the animals? It's the animals are still doing it, though. I've always said this for years. I was like, to my friends, I was like, guys, I can't chill here in this world and be fully happy. Even if there was no war and no suffering with humans, we still got all these animals just destroying each other. I have cats out. I live in the countryside, and I have cats, and they will play with a mouse for 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And they won't even eat it. They'll walk away from it after. And this poor mouse it dies of shock.
Yes, I know. My cat does it.
Yeah. So it's
like I can cope with that. I can cope with everything. That it's just what us humans do. I think we are such a horrific species.
The cat's not much that programming in the cat to go play with that mouse for an hour is.
I can take that. I can take it from animals. I can't take it from humans because I think we should know better. You know, life is a load of shit. But I think we should know better.
Yeah.
And a lion is a carnivore, and if carnivores didn't exist, we'd be knee-high in rotting flesh everywhere because someone's got to eat the flesh.
Oh, that's the whole thing. That's why I agree with the Nagamati, where I was like, this whole place is a bad creation.
It's a horrible place. Yes.
Yeah,
yes,
the rules here are just horrible. So there's no way of getting around them. Like, you're not going to stop them, and humans got to eat because they got to work and move their bodies. And here I live in Spain, and Spain is probably the most carnivorous country I've ever lived in.
Well, I've been a vegan for the best part of 70 years. I'm still here.
Wow.
And they still have bloody bullfighting in Spain. Can you believe it?
Oh, it's horrid here. It's not horrid.
I actually have a friend. I have a friend here in London. I live in London, and he's got a dog that was rescued from Spain, where they have like dog fighting.
It's nasty what goes on. It's really nasty.
Well, they're just the animals to them here in Spain are utility. They're not pets. They don't do that yet. So a dog
not
is
much different here in the UK,
No.
Let's just go back to talking about descent and transcendence. Now, sorry, go ahead, Chippy. Go on, Chippy. Go on.
I was talking about I'm going to talk about pessimism. You know what I don't understand about pessimism is always been told I'm a terrible, terrible pessimist. But the people calling me a pessimist themselves lead these really bleak lives with no pets, no pot plants, no hobbies, no nothing apart from sitting in front of the TV getting fat. And they tell me I'm the pessimist.
Well, they're not all like that. I'm sorry to.
Most of them. Most of them. I'm always been called a pessimist.
Now then, Lomik is the newbie, so I just want to ask him something. You know, it is interesting, Lomik. You said your personal life now is good. Now, me personally, I find it very hard. I have obviously people I care about in life and such, and we get on all right. But generally speaking, in my day-to-day life, nobody can come with me on my kind of has come with me before when I've been pessimistic. A few have, because of, you know, doing this kind of content, like people I've met through this type of thing. But in general, most of my friends, loved ones, etc., and even relationship wise, it's they're not on board with my pessimism. I don't know if you're in the same boat and how that feels for you.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Even some of my closest friends who were definitely way more pessimistic than when I met them are still not even close to where I am objectively. But I've noticed this because these people they don't want to face the truth, because once they accept the truth, their whole perspective changes, their whole paradigm changes, and they're not ready for it. And I know pretty old dudes, you know, like 60-year-old men, and they're really cool guys too, and deep and understanding, but they don't want to cross that line. And I can see it, like their soul is not ready, because it knows once it crosses that line, you're in now truth, and you're gonna have to be honest with yourself. And they don't want to face this. That, like, dude, the world is shit. This is just a fucking comedy show. Look at where we're at now. We got Trump and Elon. It couldn't get any more in your face. You're in a comedy show, but they don't want to face that.
Yeah.
Right.
It's kind of like they would have to face that they somehow, in their high level of thinking and being, somehow ended up in this shit show. And I don't have a problem with that. I'm cool. I've already accepted it for I kind of find it funny to a certain degree,
Right.
except the physical suffering. It's very hard to escape that mentally.
I want to say to anybody watching, please like and share the stream just to get the newbies in, so we can get the algorithm going, so we have more speakers. Thank you. Yeah, that's interesting, Lomik. But have you ever felt frustrated in, like, at the lack of, like, connection in life, you know, in terms of, like, how you perceive the world and how others perceive it?
Yeah, of course. So you feel completely alone at times, even though you're surrounded by people that you care and love, and they have good characters and they're funny and interesting, but you still feel alone. Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. I mean, because they can't see what we see, or they don't want to. And when you try to
see it.
Yeah, they don't want to, because you try to in a subtle way, and then they'll be like, yeah, okay, but you always look at it negative. And it's like, bro, it's not negative, man. It's not negative. It's objective. Just look at it. The kids today, you have an epidemic in China. Hundreds of millions of youth in China want to do this thing called laying down. I don't know. Have you guys heard of this?
Yeah.
They just don't want to participate.
I think it's called lying flat.
Lying flat. Sorry, lying flat. They don't want to participate in the world anymore.
Yeah.
Japan, the same thing. There's a huge change. In the 90s, we wanted to live, and we never thought of anything like that. So
should have been around the 60s. We really lived.
Imagine. I can only imagine the 70s and 60s.
I was there.
Our love, and but the kids today, they don't have any of that.
No,
you know?
I'm not surprised.
So
actually,
well, I mean, I've heard you before. I mean, I've seen some of your videos and stuff, and I've seen that you were very open with your pessimism and open with going back and forth from pessimism to hope, which I think is a very normal process. But after enough years, I got to say that I was just like, no, it just gets worse and worse and worse and worse. And at what point is it suddenly going to pop into good? Is Jesus going to come down from the sky?
Yeah, when there's no one left. You'd like I've been reading The Dream by David Icke. You'd like that. He talks about all this, and he's talking about what's going to happen in 2030 with AI and the whole, they want to amalgamate us all into one thing under one roof, one army, one government, one currency, which may sound very nice.
They keep threatening it, right? They
Sorry?
keep threatening it. They keep threatening that one world, new world order, but it never seems to come.
Yeah, 2030 is going to be the big day. The Great Reset is going to be 2030.
Yeah.
It was scary,
I heard it was going to be 2012 when I was waking, and
I think 2012 was the beginning of the end.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I always feel like this is their end game, and they can't go any further. They can threaten.
Oh, they can go a lot further yet. They can go a lot further.
You think so? Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they can, but I think they keep threatening it. I think they're at their. I don't know that the point. There was a bit of a kind of like there was a thing back in the day when the Catholic Church was just killing everybody if they were in another religion or another denomination of Catholicism, right? And so what happened is it was just mass suicides.
Yeah.
So I think the problem that they have is that if they push too hard, I think there's going to be just mass suicides, and I think they know this.
Well, that's what they want.
You think that's
what they want?
Yeah.
They want to reduce the global population of proletariat down to 500 million.
Okay, but why? Why do they want? Okay, I've heard this too for decades, but why do they want? Nobody's ever explained a why.
Why? I just think for power. Plus, they want the planet to themselves, and why? They just want the planet to themselves. I think there's something very sinister going on, and they will achieve it. In The Dream, I'm reading The Dream by David Icke at the moment. He talks about all this. I'm just reading through it. I'm doing a lot of reading at the moment. And he talks about all this. And you'd like this book, actually. It's a good book. £12 on Amazon. It's the great work of ages. It's this. They want to reduce population to 500 mil so they can control us all.
But if they get rid of all these people, how are they going to have all their hot girls that they like to violate? And
well, I'm sure they'll think of something, but we will be their slaves, because don't forget, all the work will be done by AI. AI will take over everything. It's a bit, I think it's the end of what's the word, when something goes on for years and years and years. It's reached I think human life is reaching the pinnacle of what was always intended from the beginning. It will just be some some dreadful horror show. But AI terrifies me, and the mark of the beast terrifies me, because I believe in it. And
okay, yeah.
Do you believe in the mark of the beast? No.
I don't know. I mean, it could be. I think they already. If there was a mark of the beast, I think they already took it.
Well, it's already happening in Sweden and China. It's already happening there.
Yeah,
Patricia says maybe we need to find out who they are. I mean, to be quite frank with you guys, I've said it before in this channel. I thought I coined a word, right? But then I looked up, and someone else had said it as well, and that is psychoarchy. We live in a psychoarchy, and it's not.
Yeah, psychoarchy.
It's like, it's by nature. This is a natural thing.
Yeah,
it's not. There's nothing woo-woo about it. It's just, we live in a world where ruthless, deceptive individuals can get to the top if they're intelligent enough, and then when they do get to the top, it's hell for everyone.
Yeah,
and they have a tendency to stay there and hand it to their families, and their families may have it. Sorry,
it's always been the same.
Yeah. I mean, it's not a good state of affairs, but
no, but that's survival.
So I want to talk about the transcendence side of things now. Lomik, you did say you've been through this and that, but you haven't necessarily transcended your worldview. Or I mean, have you changed your philosophical outlook on life in general for the masses, like an outlook existentially? And what about as yourself, personally speaking? What have you how have you changed to survive, as it were?
Gosh, outlooks changed. Yeah, I mean, that was what was interesting for me with your Pista Sophia reading, was because I'd read it back in the day, but I had just forgotten most of it, which was quite crazy. But there was this part about forgiveness where Jesus was like, are you gonna? He tests this disciple, and the disciple kind of fails. It was like, yeah, we should throw him in hell. And Jesus was like, no, man, forgive him. And a part of me that with family and friends that really wronged me in life and behaved terribly over the years, I realized that it's not really their fault. It's due to their own traumas, it's due to their childhood, it's due to the personality that they have. That is not their choice, maybe. So I kind of like learned how to truly forgive. But I do have a problem forgiving any sentient archon or demiurge that is running this knowingly. That I have a hard time. Like, I'm not like, yeah, bro, you're like, I'm not violent, but I would definitely want that being to be destroyed or to never be able to interact with me or any other innocent being again, if that's possible for me.
My greatest fear, though, is I think it's the Hindus have that analogy where it's turtles all the way down or something. And my greatest fear is that even if there is a creator, that it's all just deterministic, and there's no way out of it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like that episode of what is it called? The Black Mirror, where that guy runs his own little simulation and he creates like this Star Trek reality, and he takes in his coworkers who mistreat him and he copies them into his simulation and abuses them.
All right. I didn't see that one. That sounds good.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah. So again, how do you kind of survive in this crazy world? Then that's what I'm interested in, because there will be. You said you're 50. There's a lot of younger people listening, and there's a lot of people going through it. Maybe they haven't found a way to survive or to try and. I know you said you've got some issues yourself. You feel shit, but. That's more you said the physical things, and hopefully I really hope that you find a way to solve those. But mentally speaking, how do you advise people to cope with this existence?
You detach. Nothing here is that important. You make the important things important, like your soul's existence and the future for your soul, and everything that you're going through here is kind of like whatever. And once you kind of go with whatever, you'll notice that you won't be in the dramas, you won't be in the problems won't really come to you as much. There was a book, Angeliki Anagnoustu, The Chronicles of Man's Imprisonment. It was a pretty good book in the conspiracy world, kind of tied in with Gnosticism. But she talked about, like, in the future to come. She wrote this book in 2004, I think. And she talked about everything that's happening now. And she said, if you're spiritually balanced, you will be in the eye of the storm. So you're going to see this whole storm around you, but you're going to be okay. If you're spiritually balanced, if you're not, you're not sitting around all day going, why the fuck am I here? I hate this place. And, you control your emotions, I find, is the most important thing. And don't take it too seriously. This place.
Right.
That would be my advice. USS Callister, that's the one. Thanks, Curious Curmudgeon. Nice one. Yeah.
Divine Hazel says some of you guys watch some of the most disgusting programs, like the ones who rule us. There you go. Divine Hazel is not a fan of modern media. So
yeah, I agree. It's disgusting. The things I've watched over the years is absolutely foul, but they showed us a lot of truth in those, so I watched them because of the truth I was seeing. But it was disgusting. I hated most of these things. Yeah.
I mean, I think as you get on, you realize that it's a reflection of what is. When you're young, you think, wow, this is some kind of fantastical, imaginative fucking thing that's never going to happen. But as you get older, you do see the humanity and the kind of existence in art and in films and in TV and such. And it does, when that starts happening, you think, fuck, this is a little bit scary. I'm watching something about, it could be something ridiculous about zombies, but there is something happening there that relates to reality in a very
Yeah.
tangible way. You know?
Yeah, and what I've seen over a long many years is that the Gnostic message is in pretty much most movies. The Gnostic underlying metaphors and narrative is really in most movies. It's pretty crazy. Like I even just a few months ago watched some stupid thing, Pacific Rim, which is some commercial movie, and it's literally the Gnostic story again. It's like they cannot create, it seems. They keep making movies, but they're always based on the Gnostic concept. The Matrix, I mean, that's literally Gnosticism too. And there's so many movies where the woman is even called Sophia.
Yeah, yeah.
So many.
Yeah.
And music too. All these songs, a lot of these songs are all Gnostically themed. Katy Perry's, Justin Timberlake, and all these stuff. It's always Gnostic themed. And if I had the time over the years, I could have literally made my channel just showing that everything I saw. If I put it up there and did a little video, it's amazing how much of it is. So that's interesting to me.
That is very interesting. Yeah. One thing I want to ask you was, and actually Chickpea as well. Chickpea she told us before she worked in the legal field. Somehow or other, and yourself, you said you worked in real estate. Did you, when you started waking up, I presume you were still working in that area, and what was it like just seeing the kind of enthusiasm of people chasing the cheese, and just like how they were spending their money, how they were materially kind of trying to escape, perhaps how they were building a dream? I mean, what type of, did you ever like sense things were off with customers, clients? I know you can't give any personal details, but even people selling, you know, I mean,
100%.
Yeah.
Before waking
I mean,
up.
so say that again.
I noticed all my friends, childhood friends, getting in once they got into their London life and their money, that they all started changing. It was very obvious to me before waking up. I even noticed that there was transgenders all over the movies back in the day. I was like, look at all these terrible actresses they keep putting in Hollywood movies. Why can't they? I see way hotter chicks in the clubs. Why don't they hire them for the movies? But that's a whole nother topic. But yeah, the people changed very quickly. And I noticed that it was due to money. As the more money they got, the more they kind of lost their soul, it seemed. It was quite obvious. And in those years was like Dubai, property was booming up until 2008. So everybody was making money. And everybody had this like arrogance to them. They weren't the same people that I knew when they were like 18. And it was just like, what is going on with you people? I couldn't stomach them anymore. I couldn't stomach. I don't know about you. You must have gone through something like that too, if you were working in those.
Well, when I worked in media, and I saw the kind of, basically people were prostituting their soul, for money. Like they were saying most media, most written media, most everything that involved any advertising was basically trying to appease advertisers or please them, even if it wasn't overtly obvious to the reader or the watcher. When I realized that, and then I also realized that a lot of people who work in these industries are kind of silver spoon, kind of nepotism babies, and they don't really have any kind of humanitarian, salt of the earth kind of ideas. They just want to go on a jolly. Then I that was kind of that kind of, when I just looked around at me, like, who is successful here, there was a hell of a lot of like kind of nepotism, a hell of a lot of who the real talent wasn't getting noticed a lot of the time. It was getting stamped out. I mean, I started realizing that I worked in like big, I won't name the companies, but I worked in big ones, who massive like blue chip ones as well, and there was people there who were fucking geniuses, right? But they were not getting paid because they were technically minded and they were a bit autistic, and then you had the glib talking psychopath sending us an email telling us to fucking up our game, and this cunt's making fucking millions upon millions of pounds. You can't even imagine how much money he's making. And he's not giving it down the chain. They really were. I just looked around me and I thought, yeah, autistic person, maybe that person over there is a depressive because they're very emotionally connected. That's why they're in customer service. That person over there, you just saw the kind of the harsh reality. Like there were people at the bottom with like who cared about people or who were very technically gifted or just some kind of genius. But as you went up the chain, it did seem that it got less and less skilled and more about people controlling others, manipulation, ass kissing, cock sucking, whatever you want to call it. And it did seem apparent then that a lot of it at the top was old money, it was old money that was running the shop. It was like the companies were owned by old money most of the time. It might have started out with some whiz kid, some weird idiot savant who fucking developed something in his fucking parents' garage, but at the end of the day, it ends up getting bought by the old money somehow or other if it gets successful. When I realized that, I thought, yeah, this is a fucking closed shop, man. This is a closed shop, and we're just fodder for this machine,
Yep.
Yeah, Chickpea, did you want to say anything about working? I mean, you weren't particularly, if I'm right in saying, you weren't particularly mentally distraught when you were working in the corporate world, right?
Well, I used to work in law, and I worked the top end of the market, right at the top end firms. And all the guys that I knew, all of them had been to public school. Not one of them to a working class school or even a grammar school. It was always, the top-notch schools. They all lived in places like Belgravia and sort of places like that. And they were very, very born into wealth. There wasn't not one working class guy that achieved that. It was the way it was. It didn't, it's the way things were. I mean, for me, it was just, I was brought up in the armed forces, so I'm used to that, seeing that crazy hierarchy.
Another thing that stood out to me, I was going to mention it, was the levels of corruption. That's what I couldn't believe. When you looked at the brown envelopes, the money under the table. But it was like literally to win a contract, like in some big project, there was always some project manager looking for a brown envelope. Always.
So
they all know each other.
1 second. So one at a time. Sorry, Chickpea and then Lomic.
The solicitors I used to work for, they were all high level, but one guy from one firm would be in friends with the barrister from another firm, and they all knew each other, and they'd all drag the cases out for as long as they could. I mean, I know as a secretary, you get to know the case, and they would drag these cases out on and on and on and on. It was to make more money, of course. It was quite a farce, actually.
And Lomic, did you want to say something about the corruption out there?
Yeah, it was rife. It's just everywhere I've worked or interacted with, I was shocked too. I was just like, wow, there's such crooks and liars in all facets of this world, and it shocked me as a young man.
The other funny thing is, I noticed in a lot of instances, the PR side, because you knew some people, like I've seen people who are millionaires running big businesses and or even medium-sized businesses, but they they put on this they go to these things and they give money to this venture or that venture charity wise, and they go along and they perhaps like hold a football for a bunch of kids in a photograph, sponsor something, but it's all just marketing. In their day-to-day life, they're not nice people, you know what I mean? And that to me, I found that very creepy, because if you actually knew the person, you'd hear their snide remarks, you'd know they were kind of a bully a lot of the time, and but then they had this other persona on camera, and it was generally to make money. It was like a marketing thing because it was a good look, And when I started seeing that, I was like, oh my god, this is creepy, man. What is going on? What's real?
My parents were like that. They were.
Yeah,
my parents were like that. They'd be at home. They were one type of person. They go outside in the big wide world, and it was like a totally different couple.
I
It was
believe it's
bizarre.
called a Street Angel House Devil. That used to be an old
Yes,
saying. Isn't it?
yes,
Yeah.
that will be it. Yeah,
I
I was
never heard that. That's a good one. Street Angel
yeah,
Yeah.
House Ritual. Yeah, that's a
yeah.
really good
I was
Street Angel
brought up.
House Devil. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people like that. You know,
Yeah, it
they
was.
present in public as
Yes,
a saint,
yeah,
and then at home
yes,
they're really
yes,
horrible. Like they
yeah,
don't. I mean, when it's like I've known people like that actually. That they get energized around other people, but then at home they kind of shut down and they're not emotionally there for their family or whatever.
yes,
Or, yeah.
precisely. And my parents were exactly that. And I remember as a little girl seeing it in them already. Yeah, I could see it in them. It was weird, ever so strange. There's a lot of that about, isn't there? Notice a lot of men. You date a guy, and when you go out with him, you get one sort of person, and then behind closed doors, it's a totally different person.
Yeah.
Guys, anybody else want to come on? The link is in chat. Do come on. Anything about addiction, people? Is it something you've ever faced to some
Yeah,
degree?
addiction. I wanted to talk actually about addiction.
Yeah.
I think addiction's an interesting one.
Yes.
Because a lot of people will put addiction, they'll say, well, it's like drugs and alcohol, but it's like, no, I think everything here is an addiction.
Yeah.
Everything.
I often say you got to choose your addictions wisely. You got to
Yeah.
choose something worthwhile getting addicted to, because
Yeah.
love is a bit of an addiction.
Yeah.
Exercise can be an addiction, but you've got to do it. It is a battle. Life is a battle because you get addicted to things, but you've got to make sure it doesn't knock you out of kilter or knock the other things that are good for you out of kilter.
Most people who are not awake on our level majority of them are addicted to substances. Like,
well, I mean,
heavy,
I'm not. I wouldn't say I'm
heavy,
over my. I definitely have battles with, like, for example, I would be someone who could reach for food. You know what I mean? If I wanted to, or no, if I don't watch it. You know what I mean? Also, I mean, I've done a little bit of drugs here and there, mainly to escape, basically, and like recreational. But yeah, it's not something I recommend as a tool to escape long term.
not going to do you any good. It won't do your spirit any good. It won't do your soul any good. It won't do your mind and your body. I mean, dabble in it, have fun. And I've had my years too. And I use some alcohol once in a while to escape the world. But, there's a limit where you're like, dude, you're just destroying yourself. And I've seen so many people do that. And I was like, why are you doing this to yourself?
And it's funny as you get older, when you go back, if you do go through, like, I stopped drinking when I was like 25. And there was a few times after that on work events. I'm like, honestly, less than 10 times in my life, I think I drank since then. But there was way less than that. But like, there was I think 3 or 4 times I went on we went away and we stayed in a hotel somewhere and there's a convention or something. And I had a few drinks. But it's amazing how you do lose your tolerance. And what I also notice is it's amazing how shit-faced people get as they age. Because I worked in bars as well. So I saw people, like, you do have a tolerance. You can drink more when you're young. I think you can. And then when you get old, I used to think it was the other way around, but when you get to a certain age, you just become a shit-faced mess after a certain amount.
Their bodies can't process the alcohol. The cells and the meat is completely inundated with alcohol. So there's in Spain, there's a lot of these farmers, they just drink. Like, they get up, they drink, and they work.
What do they drink? Beer or wine or whatever they want?
Mainly wine. It's quite the traditional thing they do here, but they drink a lot. And it doesn't do them well. Like 60, 65, they're pretty much done.
Yeah.
But the other point though is they had a good time. Like, they're happy guys. There's the other thing. I can see a lot of people who are like straight edge, who don't touch anything, and they're miserable as can be, and just think about work.
Yeah. And even as the older I get, the more I see it. Like, some of these people who live like pretty debaucherous lives, some of them seem to live on, and the ones who are living straight ace die of stress. Yeah.
Didn't Charles Bukowski? When did he?
I don't know.
I think he probably made it to about 70, and he was drinking like liters and liters of wine.
I mean, I had a granduncle who was a massive alcoholic, and he lived in the countryside, and he was the first person to get a seatbelt in his locality. You know when seatbelts came in, whenever that was, is before I remember. But I think the reason he got a seatbelt was to strap himself into his armchair so he wouldn't fall into his fireplace when he was shit-faced drunk at night. That guy lived well into his 80s. Yeah, there you go. And he even drank a pub dry. That guy was a character. Yeah, he as I said, there are certain people who seem to have an ability to keep going no matter what they do put in their body.
Yeah, that's very true. He was probably drinking some good quality alcohol too, though. He was probably getting some, I don't know. It didn't have all the chemicals in it. I mean, I wouldn't go buy a lot of these like market, like Heineken beer or Budweiser.
Yeah, I mean, he was probably drinking more kind of organic stuff back then,
Yeah, he probably was. Yeah. It was probably just straight alcohol, and it didn't have all the chemicals in it. And you can always do a lot better with that. That's our grandparents' generation. They were a lot stronger.
I mean, they always used to use him as a family warning. Say, "Oh, you want to be careful. You'll end up like your Uncle Michael." And your granduncle Michael, and then I remember saying, "What, happy?"
Yeah, what, happy? And he came up with a seatbelt on his rocking chair, so he didn't go in the fireplace. He was happy. Yeah. He was having a good time. The only family members I can actually remember like that would be a grandfather who also, he wasn't like an alcoholic, but he definitely liked to drink. And he was always kind of happy. I never really saw him in a miserable mood. Especially the others, they were all miserable, and they didn't drink.
Yeah, and not only miserable, but like I had a lot of bitchiness and like sharp critiques too easily given,
Yeah, and Granddad, he was just fun to be around. But the others, I didn't really enjoy being around them, even at like a young boy. I remember I was like, I don't really like y'all's energy, but I like Granddad's. And when I got older, I was like, oh, that's because Granddad was always fucking drunk,
Yeah. This is it. It is interesting to think that that's like, this isn't just a human thing. I mean, I watched I read something the other day about chimpanzees gathering around fermented fruit and like feasting on it and getting like a beer buzz on it, like a light kind of intoxication where and it helped them socialize. And you think about that's literally, we've been doing this before we were Homo sapiens. We've been getting off our face, fucking shit faced. And
you guys did talk about that evolution the other time. I remember now. Yeah, you believe in that, in the evolution, right? There's some really obvious, like there's two like big problems with that. One is irreducible complexity. You just can't get around that. That's like you have, like, for instance, a motor bacteria. You have these bacteria that have a rotary tail motor.
I see what you mean. So their function cannot be removed, and yet how did it appear? Is that what you mean?
And it can't come in parts.
Well, I see what you mean. So
it's like, wouldn't work. It has to come as a whole, and the same with an eye. For instance, an eye can't come in parts. It has to come as a functioning whole. So unless evolution...
I think I've read like vague articles here and there over the years that kind of showed an eye could evolve. And in fact, it has evolved I believe they've evolved not just once, but multiple times.
Yeah, they say that, but they cannot show those intermediary steps. They just can't, because those eyes don't exist. And then there's the other thing, is the macro versus micro evolution. So you can have micro, we've seen this, we can take dog breeds from the 1800s.
Yeah. But then how does it become a cross species? Yeah.
Well, you can't have 100,000 years of whales with nubby legs barely surviving on the sandbanks or in the ocean. So they're not going to function well on land, and they're not going to function well in
I'll be honest with you. Although I believe in evolution, I do find it weird that there were these like beings like half and half. I mean, put it this way: why would any fucking whale? Why? Whales used to be cow kind of creatures. You know that. They used to be kind of these weird.
Well, that's okay. I mean, according to the mainstream narrative, yes.
Yeah. But I do find it weird. Like, so there would have been a time when it was not evolutionary successful to be that kind of, like, you know, when they're like a quarter of the way, you know, to
Yeah,
being
it
a
wouldn't
whale.
work. And this would cause his own
The others of the species be like, well, fuck, I'm staying away from that freak. You know, that's just the way nature is, unfortunately.
Yeah, or the
And
predators would learn really quickly. Oh, go to the beach and grab
yeah,
these.
there's that as well. I mean,
legs.
predators do go for difference. I mean, there
Yeah.
was a study. There was something happened in Africa where they put tags on zebra ears, right? They I don't know what they did. Maybe they were doing some veterinarian shit, like treating them, and they put like some tags on some of the wild zebra after, you know, they probably tranquilized them and gave them some kind of treatment, and just to show they treated them or whatever they did, they put a tag on its ear, and they noticed then that the zebras with the tags were getting taken out by the lions, you know, and
Okay.
that's because they just had that slight difference to the rest of the herd, and that's
Yeah.
what predators. When predators look at a herd, what catches their eye is difference, you know.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's
They
and
the way
when
they
you
look,
think about it, it's
they're
that
targeted.
fucking minute. It's a fucking
Yeah.
tag on a fucking ear. They can see that
Well,
shit.
there's a deep guy on the internet. He's
Hello to
called
Yerf Dogs. Hello to
RF.
Gary. Hello to Scott. Hello to Patricia.
Oh,
Guys, come on. The link is there. These are lovely conversations. So come on and join us. Sorry, Lomik.
yeah, this I found this very interesting. In all my years of research conspiracy, there's only a few things that was like whoa. And there was this guy called RFG Chosen One, and he still does videos on Rumble, but his YouTube channel has been taken down a long time ago. And he did a video once that is no longer on YouTube. I can't find it anywhere, and I only saw it once. But he showed without a doubt to me that so many of these animals are laboratory created, and they're created with plant DNA and other animal DNA. And like you think of like the platypus in Australia, and I can't remember these specific animals he used right now off the top of my head, except for one. And this one is not a good one, but the
I don't know
orangutan.
who that is, Yerf. Yerf Dog saying, "Are you Kent Hovind?" I don't know who that
Is
is.
this guy Kent Hovind? No, is Art me? No, but like RFG Chosen One is a conspiracy theorist on YouTube and on Rumble, and he's done some really amazing videos about animals, showing that there's a lot of proof that they were created somehow by putting DNA together.
Well, I'll be honest with you. When you read the explanation of you know, subparticle physics and things just moving around and being attracted and repelled from each other and joining up, forming shapes, and then those shapes in themselves become attracted and repelled by other shapes, and then all this randomness just causes like this certain shapes to form that then become the blocks for life. You know, that's the explanation. That it is just randomness. It's like things being attracted and repelled. It's electromagnetism, and then certain shapes form, and then it goes up the chain, and it becomes like a man attracted to a woman, for example. It's just all attraction and repulsion all the way down, and but it starts off with a kind of random element, and it becomes more. I suppose you could say it becomes less random the higher you go up the chain, you know, because there is well, there's meaning to it, I suppose. Or not meaning, but there's a direction, you know, an overt direction that is obvious. Like the man moves towards the woman, you know, whereas there's a thinking behind it.
I mean, we're talking about like then yeah, attraction male and female, but let's also take into account all these just intricately complex chemical interactions within the bodies of animals and humans and insects and plants. Like these chemical reactions are so mind-boggling to me,
Yeah.
at least, where I'm like, I just can't see any of this being like random. This
Well,
seems like utterly specifically created and very
even
fine.
if I grant you that, I mean, what about the thing that created it? I mean, it goes on and on. Like what created that? You know, what created them and all this? You know, it just goes. What?
Yeah, for me, that's where the Gnostic text kind of makes sense, where you had an infinite creation, and then a demiurge type being stole from that creation and created his own. But he didn't actually create his own. He took all these discarded creations already, that and then recreated them, and that's why none of them really work. That's why farm animals have diseases, and there's all types of genetic problems, and you know, all these animal systems. Everybody likes to say like, nature is perfect. And I was like, no, it's not. Nature is so far from perfect. There's this complete waste in so many ways. It has many problems, nature. So that's where, once again, the Nagamati kind of makes sense to me. It does show a lot of that when you, it's just such a mess, this place, but it's hyper complex, but hyper complex, hyper complex. Like just our cell, one cell of ours is just mind boggling. And so that was taken from the Pleroma. He took that and you know, used it for his own, I don't know, whatever this prison is, or I don't know what this place is.
Yeah. Have you had any strange paranormal experiences, Lomic, in life?
Yeah, not paranormal, but I've had, so in conspiracy land, they always say like this place is trying to keep us asleep, right? And I'm like, I've always been like, no, it's not. This place is trying to wake you up everywhere you look. Watch a movie is trying to wake you up. Watch The Matrix when you were a teenager is trying to wake you up. In my life, I had numerous experiences where this reality tried to wake me up. And it was when I woke up and I looked back, I recalled those experiences. I was like, what the fuck? That doesn't make any sense. If this place is a soul trap and it wants to lock us in here forever, then why has this place been doing nothing but trying to wake me up? So
Okay.
People too with supernatural experiences. Yeah. You?
Yeah. I have spoken about it. I mean, I spoke about it a lot on the channel. Yeah, I've had like a few poltergeist experiences here and there. When I, you know, not for many years now, but yeah, I've had a few. But I'm on, like, one of them at least was with somebody else present. Now I've also said I can't be sure because I am humble enough to acknowledge I don't know what's going on in terms of even my own brain. I could be just hallucinating shit, you know. And also, my friend, I've heard of, even though my friend was with me, and she, you know, she validates what I said and says she saw it as well. But the thing is, there is apparently a thing called shared hallucination, or maybe it's another phrase. So two people can be deluded together about something, you know, can have some shared psychotic experience. So, I mean, just the mere fact that that's possible, it makes it even more horrible, this existence, because you can't even, you have to question your own mind, and you can never be sure, you know, you can never be sure about anything.
Yeah, the worst thing is, for me, my existential crisis is like, how am I ever going to know what I believe now is true? Even when I'm out of this body, how am I going to know what I'm experiencing is true? That scares the bejesus out of me.
Well, Yerfdog says irreducible complexity presumes evolution only moves towards complexity. Yeah, I mean, the thing, Lomic, I have done a lot of, because I did biology in school and stuff, and I've read quite a bit about evolution back in the day. But I do know that it involved like, for example, viruses were first, you know, and but then people question, how could a virus exist without a cell, you know? Now,
well, how do we know viruses were
the
first?
RNA was before the DNA, and then it's like there's also the case that things moved into each other. You know what I mean? So there was like an amoeba, yeah, and then it engulfed another cell, and but instead of like it being digested, it formed part of the amoeba somehow via a kind of symbiotic relationship, and it somehow or other, maybe due to a virus, its DNA got leaked into to its host organism's DNA, and it became one entity, you know. And it's just like, you might call it a convenient set of circumstances, randomness, or whatever.
Well, I mean,
Skeptics would say it's not evidence, whatever. But I do see a lot of validity in arguments like things just came together, you know, like, for example, one cell moved into another, then there was viruses causing things to happen, and then there was kind of fluctuations in general environment, like heat, temperature, who knows, maybe even like radioactivity around the place, causing things to change. Mutations, you know. Mutation is a thing. So DNA can mutate, and that causes things to happen.
What's that saying though? There's nothing new under the sun. Doesn't that probably come from some old place. Like, wouldn't have all these things been conceptualized anyway in spirit or whatever reality existed before any matter?
Right.
Like, I just don't see it. It's just like you see this little fucking rotor motor on the back of a bacteria, and you're just like, that's a motor. You know, that's like engineering.
Well, I mean, when you zoom in, right, to like I don't know if it's the quantum world, but you go to a very, very when you look at proteins moving around, you know, and stuff in cells, you're like, what the actual fuck? That looks like a conveyor belt. That looks like a fucking treadmill. And this thing looks like a little robot. It does. I watched this thing with like a protein, and it walking along some kind of fucking track, carrying something, and I was like, "What the actual fuck is going on?"
Yeah, they look like little robots, and they actually look kind of happy.
But then again, Lomik, you might say they look like us because life becomes like there's the macro and the micro, you know. And you know, it just may be that because we come from them, we share some of their forms, you know. Because we come from the smaller world, we share some of its form because nature builds in a way that is like you can't build something
but they don't
from ingredients that isn't related to the ingredients. You know what I mean?
But they're fully robotic. I mean, they don't have cities, and they're not making music or throwing raves or creating art.
They're not sentient in and of themselves.
Thing, day in, day out, like little robots.
Earth Dog says, what's the difference between micro and macro evolution? Do you want to explain that? Because as far as I'm aware, macro is across the whole species, right?
Yeah.
Micro might be a portion of it, right?
It's like changing a bulldog to look like what it looks today rather than what it looked like 100 years ago. It's still a bulldog, but it's just its shape is different. But it hasn't become a fish, for instance.
But it hasn't changed the whole dog species to something else either.
Yeah.
They haven't become whatever, like I don't know, another word, another species. Gaia is here. Gaia, do you want to come? This is really interesting. Gaia says, I actually just worked on a new theory of evolution. I actually have a video about it on my creator channel. Well, there you go. Gaia the Sage. I'm sure that will be interesting for people to go and have a look at. Gaia, I will make you a moderator so you can perhaps share the link. Just 1 second. I'll do that now. And people can go to your channel whenever they want and look at it. Just 1 second. I'm trying to do that.
I'll just like to say I gotta go. I have to get up early tomorrow, but it was really lovely being on and saying hello. And really, really dig your channel. One of the best I've come across in a long
wow.
time. Thank you,
Lomik. Well, hasta la vista, my friend. And I hope you'll be back.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll definitely be tuning in. Yeah.
Lovely stuff,
everybody, have a good one, and let's hopefully we can get to some truths here and see if we can figure all this out.
Yeah, or at least have a bit of fun talking about it. Thank you, Lomik.
Exactly. Okay.
Take care, and best wishes to you, brother. Take care.
You too. Night, Chickpea.
Chickpea. She's playing with her cats. She's got a load of cats, as you know.
The cat's asleep. Anyway, nice meeting you. Take care.
All right, take care now.
Okay.
Bye.
Ciao.
Okay. Right. Does anybody want to come on here, guys, and keep the conversation going? I would like a little break to go and get a drink as such. So I would need a couple of you at least to come on and, get the conversational juices flowing. Chickpea seems to have been raptured. I do hope you're all right there, Chickpea, but she's probably playing with one of her cats. She's got 7 cats, so that's a lot of feline attention that needs to be given. Right. Yeah. Yes, curious. So, does Lomik have a YouTube channel? That would have been interesting, wouldn't it, Patricia? I forgot to ask that. Sorry. I'm sure he'll come back though. Lovely, interesting guy. So, I enjoyed talking to him there. Brother Marcus, Curious Curmudgeon says, Folia is also called shared psychosis or shared delusional disorder. It is a rare psychiatric syndrome in which symptoms of a delusional belief are transmitted from one individual to another. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, the fact that
were you calling me before?
Yes, we were. Yeah, it
Cookies.
wasn't
I was
a.
cooking a cup of
It's
tea.
not a shared delusion. I think I was calling you, and this can be. Hopefully, one of the commenters here will tell me that it actually happened. But then again,
All
it
right.
could be a mass delusion of the masses here as we all watch together and become a little bit out of touch with reality together.
I was
So
cooking
now
a
it's
cup
the
of tea.
Chickpea and D&W show now. Divine Hazel says, Lomic, thank you for participating. See you soon. So yes, Patricia, get your ass on here, lady.
Do you want to hear? Do you want to hear a little story about my romantic cats?
Well, I'll tell you what, if you could do that, I'm going to be a few minutes, but I'll be back. Is that all right? If you can keep everybody go. Guys, come on here because I have to go to the kitchen for a
I've
few
got to
minutes.
sit and talk to myself. Oh,
Well, not
lovely.
yourself, but everybody. But we are listening. Everybody's listening. You've got an audience. Don't worry about that. There's 17 people watching. There's about 8 people watching on
Right.
x.com, 9 people watching on YouTube. There you go.
Okay. Right. I've got as you know, I've got 7 cats, and one of my cats, Bella, used to have a relationship with a tomcat that used to come around every night, and she'd go out and play with him. Anyway, he disappeared about 2 years ago. And then on Monday night, I was woken up by cats fighting in the living room. And the tomcat was back. And Dave, my tomcat, who now lives with me, was having a hissy fit. Anyway, he's now sleeping by the cat flap, guarding the cat flap, so the tomcat can't come back in. I'm sorry, I've got nothing to say, actually. I'm reading the work. I'm reading The Dream by David Icke. It's a very good book, actually. I think a lot of you might enjoy it.
Back in a few minutes, like not that long at all, and nobody's come on, unfortunately, but I have to go for a few minutes. Listen, if you could talk about the book that you're reading, that would be good. Give a synopsis. I will be listening. So,
give a synopsis. Oh God. Oh, folks, I'm not as clever as him. You know, I'm just. It's a very good book. It talks about the. Yeah. What did he talk about? Gosh, I'm sorry to be so boring, actually. I'm not into all this. Very good book. Talks about the reptiles, demonic deceit. Phased by the maze. Oh, goodness sake. Hello, somebody. Don't leave me here on my own, please. I'm no good at this sort of thing. Feels I'm talking to myself. Hello? Yerf dog, are you there? Yerf dog. Would you like to see a cat? I'll get a cat for you. Hold on. Wishy poops. Come here, Lala. So let's turn off the camera. Let's see. Short cam. Turn off. Look who's here. It's Lala. Lala. Isn't she cute? Boop, boop. Lala. Well, it's me. And here is Poppy. Grumpy Pops. Hey, Poppy, look at the camera, Poppy. Look. That's Poppy. Oh, lovely. This is very fun. Great fun. Are you all there? Hello? Somebody, please. Now, he's put me in a position that is beyond my capacity to deal with. I'm not very good at entertaining people. Sorry about that. Hello.
Ah, looks like it was working.
He's left me here all on my own. sit here and talk. I don't know what about, because I don't know how to entertain people. I'm not very good at that sort
I
of
feel
thing.
you. I'm one of those people that goes with the momentum.
It's gone and left me. Did you see my cat?
Right? I'm supposed to be helping direct the flow. I'm not supposed to be on the little cardboard box on the podium.
Yes, exactly. I'm not good at that sort of thing. No. Yes.
Uh,
No.
yep.
Yeah, he's just gone. He seems to just gone.
I expect it will be temporary.
So where are you?
What was that?
Where are you?
Where am
Where are
I?
you? Yeah, where
Uh,
are you?
I'm in Nevada.
Oh, lucky you.
It depends. I'm a fan of wildlife, of greenery, and there's
Oh,
not a
you
lot
lucky
here.
thing. Still, I envy you, you lucky thing. But yeah, I live in central London, so there's not much. I see pigeons and sparrows and
Oh yeah,
foxes.
you get all that rainy weather and all that overcast. Yeah,
Yeah, yes. But we get
yes,
foxes.
the Seattle of Europe.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a morbid little city. Yes, it's but I do get foxes come round at night.
Oh, that's
See them?
interesting.
Yes. A lot of foxes where I live. And they're
I
very
actually
well
had
kept.
a deer come right to my window last winter.
Oh,
It was the wildest thing. I'm just sitting right on the watching the TV, and all of a sudden, there's a deer less than 2 feet
oh,
from me, and it was just staring there. It wasn't even afraid or nothing, and
beautiful, aren't they?
I just started watching it, and we just were like in this zone, just staring at each
Yeah,
other's eyes for like 20 minutes.
they are beautiful, aren't they?
Oh, I love deer.
Yes, I
Oh, I
think
have
they
a
are the most
connection with
adorable.
deer.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've always felt connected to the spirit of Artemis, of Greek
Yes,
mythology, and
yes.
I've always felt connected to deer.
They are so beautiful. I think they are the
Oh,
most beautiful creatures, and their babies are beyond belief. Those little fawns are just beyond belief.
well, they're definitely graceful creatures, that's for
Yes,
sure.
yes. I
Yeah.
love all animals. It's, animals are fun. I've got 7 cats. You got any pets?
No, I don't really have any pets. I'm more of a plant person.
Oh, what? Oh, really?
Oh
What?
yeah,
You
no,
got,
really. I would rather have my house full of plants
yes,
than even one pet. I love pets and everything, but I'm one of those people where, if I have an animal, I want to be out there in nature living with the animal.
yes.
So
Yeah, I've
if I
got,
have a
yeah,
dog, I want to get, more of a medium-sized dog, live out in some rural country yard. I don't want to have
yes.
no, it saddens me how many people have these medium-sized dogs and live in apartments and stuff. It's just,
Mm.
oh my goodness.
Yeah, I've got 7 cats, but I live on the ground floor and I've got a load of land. Believe it or not, even though I'm in central London, there's a whole load of land around my flat. And so we've got
Ah,
a cat flat. Yes, it's a very, I'm in quite a unique position. It's really weird for central London, especially if you're just a working class person. Obviously,
yeah.
if you're rich, you can afford blah, 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 but I can't.
No, you
I
got
mean,
some good area, it sounds like.
yeah, I've just been lucky. It's a real glitch. And
Well,
they've,
sounds like your cats are lucky too. I'm sure they
yes,
appreciate all that area to
they love
roam.
it. They love it. They're free to roam around. They're so
Oh,
safe.
that's what I'm saying. They're
Yes,
with nature, but at the same time, they're with their mama. I mean, they got the best of
yes.
both worlds.
Yes, oh yes, they're doing very nicely. But I've lived here for 30 years and I've always had 6, 7 cats at a time. And not one cat has ever come to any harm here. Not one.
Wow,
I know.
that is impressive.
Yeah, it's a safe little spot. It's really weird because I've thought about moving, but I think to myself, I'm not going to find this again. It's just not going to happen.
Well, that's just really interesting too. Like you said, there's foxes around your area, and I've since discovered that foxes are actually quite predatory. Like I knew they were predators, but I didn't know just how many animals that they go after.
Yeah. Oh yes, I know. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm like,
I
oh
always
yeah,
know
they
that.
just go after chickens and stuff. It's like, oh no, they actually go quite. They're pretty
Yeah.
aggressive for their size.
Yes. But the London cats are all sort of they've been quite domesticated. Someone's looking after them because they're all very well. I look after them as well. I put pilchards out for them. and they're very well fed. But my cats, I've had a couple of times I've seen my cats in conversation with a fox, sort of standing together, mewing and making strange noises.
Dang,
Yeah.
it almost sounds like the foxes are the ones being domesticated.
Yeah, it's like they are. It's as if they've become citiized somehow.
They're probably more timid, than most
Yes.
foxes are.
Yeah.
The more that tame nature, that just to start to get ingrained in them.
Yeah. Plus, people leave food out for them.
Yep.
You know that. So, because they're quite well fed, and they've also been spayed. I actually once, a couple of years ago, saw a fox with a square on her side where you could see she'd just been operated on to sterilize her. So they're being cared for by somebody or probably the council. Yeah.
I can't help but get all conspiracy-like after discovering how Russia had a program for, I think it was 70 years to domesticate foxes, and they've partially succeeded.
Oh, yes.
I find that fascinating, but at the same time, I'm like, if they're doing it, somebody else might be doing something similar, and something might have escaped and started breeding the genes, and it's wild.
Yeah. But people do have pet foxes in the UK, don't they? In America? Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, keep them as pets.
I could see that, it might even partly be due to history and stuff. Like I know that a lot of those what was it, like Winston Churchill or something, a lot of these older figures had strange animals like anteaters and stuff,
Yeah.
but I don't think you're gonna see that as much in the over the pond over here in the US.
I watch a lot of stuff on YouTube about people in America, and in America there's people with pumas and squirrels and raccoons and all sorts of pets, foxes of course. Yeah, I watch all that. Yeah, don't you watch all that?
Yeah,
there's people in America with raccoons as pets and bears.
Oh, I've seen the raccoons as pets. I have not seen bears as pets. That one,
I've seen that.
That one sounds a little newsworthy.
Yeah. I bet they're expensive to keep.
Oh my goodness, my lord!
A fortune.
Oh yeah, you have to build full on enclosures for any of those types of animals, and that's the kind of thing I'm saying though. You see these people, that have like a 400-pound pig in their living room, and it's on some freaking documentary. It's like that's where you said somebody living with a bear, and my first thought was some bear just plop down in somebody's bed.
I've seen it.
Get off my bed! I need to go to sleep, buddy.
There's one about a guy who takes his donkey to bed with him. I've seen that as well.
Oh my goodness.
If I had a donkey, I'd do the same. I love donkeys. Take it to bed with me.
In all honesty, donkeys are quite interesting. I think it'd probably be, I wouldn't go to sleep with a llama or an alpaca, They're just going to start spitting on your face. Waterboarding you in your sleep with their saliva.
Oh, who cares? No,
my goodness, you do love them.
Yeah, I love them. I love animals.
I'd be waking up. What are you doing to me?
Yes, but I sleep with 7 cats. You just see my bed is like a great big cat basket. It's an absolute mess. It really is, but I don't care. Yeah, I don't mind. I love them. But if I had a donkey, I would sleep with it, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would do. Yeah. So what are you doing here this evening?
What was that?
What are you doing here this evening?
Just joining in, socializing, sharing thoughts.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm sort of an isolated philosopher, so this is quite cathartic.
Yes. Yeah, I find everybody I know is very happy clappy, whereas I'm the opposite. So I come here to sort of listen to people who are not happy clappy.
Oh yeah, no, I get what you're saying. That I've noticed that there's definitely some negative vibes and pessimism here, but it's in a way that I can totally handle because I say that I'm the most negative, positive person you'll ever meet. That's the way I describe myself.
Yeah. I'm a terrible pessimist, dreadful, terrible pessimist. Awful. I'm the worst. He's back.
Hello.
Hello.
God, Chickpea, I couldn't trust you to stay on topic. I'm joking. No, I was enjoying your little chit chat there, guys. Thank you.
But I'll tell you,
Um,
that's like Dave my cat, right? Dave my cat has taken to guarding the cat flap.
Say that
You need to
again?
get him a uniform.
Dave, my cat, is guarding is guarding the cat flap.
You need to
So
make it
that-
official. Get him a uniform.
So that the tomcat who's been away for 2 years can't come in to see his girlfriend Bella. It's true. This is actually happening in my flat.
Okay.
Got a little
Gaia,
guard.
tonight's show is loosely based on descent and transcendence. So facing the abyss, maybe having a dark night of the soul, and then perhaps languishing there for a while, perhaps coming out of it, perhaps changing one's mindset somehow or other. I'm not saying you have to become out all happy clappy, but I don't know how people come out of these things or what happens. It's a very personal thing. Is it something you've experienced in life?
It is definitely something that I've experienced in life. I was just telling, oh man, your name, her
Sorry,
name just
I
escapes
lost
me.
you there.
But I was just talking to her, on the channel right here. That Chickpea, thank you.
Chickpea.
I was just talking to Chickpea about, and now I lost my train of thought. Brilliant.
I was talking about descent and transcendence. Dark nights of the soul, having experiences where we feel a bit down about reality or shocked,
Okay. All right.
and then
Yeah.
coming
No, I
to,
was just
and then
telling.
where does that bring one?
Yeah, I was just telling Chickpea that that I like to say that I'm the most negative positive person you'll ever meet,
I
because
heard that. That was interesting.
yeah, I used to be full on the pessimism, the cynicism, the nihilism, just every negative one you can get about. I was striving for some level of faith and positivity, but I was just stuck in hell because I was stuck in this contrasting culture of new atheism. Once you're dead, it's oblivion, it's nothing, everything's pointless, and then religious fundamentalism. You're all going to hell if you don't buy into it exactly the way we do. And I couldn't handle that polarizing contrast. So, I spent about a decade to find something different that wasn't non-dualism or dualism, something that was both and neither and beyond. And going through that process, it has helped completely reshape who I am as a human being. I'm a completely different person, but it works for me. It's hilarious because when I was a negative person, I said I never want to reach this state of positivity because if I was this positive, I would have to be ignorant. And I went through the process,
sorry
and
to break your flow. I just
I'm
want to
ignorant
say,
as I've always been, but I'm continuing my awareness.
sorry to break your flow. I just want to say thanks to Patricia. She's given me some advice. I don't know what she means, but perhaps she'll come on next time and say it. She says she'd just like to say this, D&W. That's me. You're asking all these questions, and I think your anger is keeping you from realizing you are getting answers. And I get it. Sometimes I get a little angry also. Do I appear angry tonight? I don't fucking think so. But yeah, okay, Patricia.
I wouldn't have thought you were angry.
Maybe
Person.
10% or less, but maybe 5%. I'm not getting much.
She reckons I'm getting answers. So, Patricia, all right, darling. I appreciate you. And if that's what you think, then do come on and explain yourself, Patricia. She says, advice you did not ask for. Focus on what you want to happen after. Catch you next time. And by after, what do you mean, Patricia? Do you mean in the bardo, as the Tibetan Book of the Dead said? Who knows what Patricia means? But Patricia, we love you, and we look forward to speaking to you next time. She has to go now.
You don't strike me as an angry person. I've always found in life that the grumpy people, like yourself, are very unangry because you let your negative feelings out. And so you don't store them up to, blow up every now and again.
No, I love what you're saying there because I've confronted my shadow, and that's where I laugh. I go, Satan must be weak as hell because my shadow is so much darker than he is. So, but it's funny because I've gotten to this point where I say the only thing I'll let my shadow engage with is words. I'm not going to let it, act out physical violence, but I'll let my shadow speak negativity if the situation needs it.
So, Gaia, I'm just going to go grab a quick drink. I won't be as long as last time. Don't believe I'll only be like a minute. But listen, whilst I'm gone, will you explain to me, because first of all, what I found interesting is you said you used to be kind of very nihilistic and extremely pessimistic, and then you moved into this optimism and positivity. I don't know if it's optimism, but you moved into some level of positivity.
Yeah.
Can you explain the whole trajectory, if you wish to? That is, first of all, what were you like before the nihilism and ultra hard pessimism, and then what got you out of that, and what have you become? That would be good. Just the trajectory of it all from
All
the
right. Yeah.
start.
No, I'll try my best on that for sure. Yeah. No. So I was, like I said, I was stuck in that contrast between fundamental Christianity saying you're going to hell, and new atheism saying that it's all pointless. So I was struggling for a sense of meaning, and that's where I was reaching for a sense of positive faith. And what I was reaching for was pantheism. But pantheism still felt nihilistic to me, no matter how much I dove into it. And that's where I went through this process, because really love the vibe of non-dualism. Everything is one. Part of the pantheism, all that stuff. But at the same time, I was seeing that non-dualism, a lot of people use it for spiritual bypassing and not confronting the ugliness of reality. And that's where I was realizing that, okay, I need something that isn't one of these two things. We're stuck in this binary trap.
All right. So first of all, you were raised as a Christian fundamentalist. You found that a bit, it didn't quite take it didn't actually vibe with you after a while. And presume
No,
what kind of.
actually, I wasn't raised to be really anything. I was
Oh,
raised
right.
in, a spiritual, not religious household. The cousins were light Protestants, not really into the culture or anything, but just enough of the culture from both sides seeped into my reality to where I'm going, hey, I don't really like these scientists and I don't really like these religious people. There's got to be more to reality, more to humanity than this.
Okay, that's interesting. And so why did you become nihilistic then?
It wasn't something that I chose to be. It's just a state that I was in. Like I said, I was viewing that everything was part of God, but I couldn't see the actual divinity or the love or any of that in there. I just saw that, okay, God is the universe, but God is not anything personal or meaningful, or no feelings, nothing that makes it human. And that's where it wasn't just the process of the dualism or non-dualism. It was also a process of atheism versus theism. And
Yeah,
that's why
yeah.
I arose to the process of transtheism, because transtheism is what Jainists are, the peace religion over in the Eastern world. Jainists basically, believe that there is one God and there are multiple gods, but they're all part of the one God. And it's not henotheism. We don't need to make, rigid hierarchies to say that this part of God is more important than the other part of God, because it's all God.
Right. Okay.
You managed to remember all that.
What was that?
You've got a very good memory. Good Lord.
Well, 10
You
years
make me
of
feel really
living through hell and
stupid.
doing nothing but studying can end up doing that to you.
You make me
Tell
feel
us
really
about
dumb.
the duality and non-duality thing, because I know a lot of people talk about that, and it's not something I've ever really gotten into, but I've always found them a bit strange, because they make these YouTube uploads and they go, just remember there's the non-duality.
Oh, I know what you're
And
talking
they just make
about.
these they seem to be making profound statements, but then when you analyze it, it doesn't seem to be saying anything. Basically,
Yeah, no,
what it
there's
appears
none of
to be
that
saying
lived
to me is
experience or
what it
weight to
appears to
back it
be
up.
saying. What it appears to be saying is, except you have no free will and you're just part of the whole.
Yep. Yep. No,
Is that it?
that's interesting, because no, I subscribe to that. I definitely I'm part more on that side of that we don't have free will, but at the same time, I view it as such an illusion and a participatory state that it's how much is real and how much is illusion. We may never know.
Yeah. Okay. But going back to the question, then, can you explain to me about duality, non-duality? Because that's the impression I got what non-duality is. But can you accepting you're just part of everything and everything is just together as one, and it's all just like happening, and you have no real say in it. It's just an experience. That's the impression I got. Now I might be completely wrong, but can you explain to us first of all what duality is, and then what non-duality is?
Well, duality, at least from the Western world, is filtered through the Judeo-Christian lens. So we tend to view everything as, good versus evil, black versus white, and
Yeah.
we make these really stark polarizations, and we don't see that the polarizations are, they help each other. Reality wouldn't exist if they weren't working together, And then we have non-dualism, which is, the belief that, everything is part of the monad, everything is part of God, everything is part of the Big Bang, that we all encompass that. So that's where non-dualism, it's great, in theory, but it's one of those hippy dippy things where if you go too far into it, you're not gonna you're not gonna be able to explain the complexity or have the humbleness to be able to debate back and forth about these things.
Yeah, it seems to be, to me, to be quite frank, it just seems to be a lot of quite relatively privileged people just blissfully happy and just chilling out.
Oh no, I completely agree with a lot of that. I have a lot of problems with the non-dualistic culture online. I see a lot of these people, and you could just tell that they're getting too far into it. Like I found this book, A Course in Miracles, and it's a book of non-dualism, of helping to train your brain how to think in a non-dualistic manner. And I love the book, but the community drives me mad. Everybody's gets into the crystals and the let's teach each other. Let's not just read this by ourselves and deeply study this, and everybody just ends up getting into this
Yeah,
toxically positive
okay, but
mindset.
it's interesting you saying they're teaching other. I mean, but in a non-dualistic, in a universe that is all one, what can you actually do that is empowering? Because it does sound like a disempowering belief. Like there's no choice. There's not, everything is an illusion. Like it does. How is it empowering in any way?
Okay, I see what you're saying. Okay, you're talking about the emotional side of it, how you
Yeah,
process the
no, but just like
emotions. Yeah.
what are they actually doing with these crystals? I mean, what are they doing? That's what I want to know. What the hell are they doing? What are these dualists doing? I mean, how are they lifting themselves up with this belief?
Well, it's one of those things where it's really hard to explain the process. It's more about experience. When you train your brain of thinking in these different, dualities and these different processes, it's really wild because it's like you're thinking in a different language. I only speak English, but when I'm talking about non-dualism versus dualism, it literally is like a switch flips in my brain where I'm suddenly on a different language.
Okay. Again, can you give some attempt at explaining what they're getting out of it, if that's okay?
Okay.
What
Yeah,
they
no,
actually
no. Okay.
what they're actually doing? I want to know what they're actually doing when they practice these beliefs.
Okay, what they're actually doing. Like I said, it's a lot to do with the magic of language, language and how it impacts our thought process, and there could be people practicing non-dualism from like a traditional perspective of the Advaita Vedanta, Hinduism and stuff. But most of us Westerners approach non-dualism from a more secular lens. And because of that, whoa, just got my spun around there. Okay. So basically, when people read these texts, well, here, let me just give an example of one I came up with, and it's transdualism. I basically came up the other day, just universal download. All of a sudden, I was saying to myself, 1 and 2 are not opposing truth claims. They are merely expressions of the same truth. So a non-dualist would see that and they would collapse the two numbers. They would say that 1 and 2 are meaningless because it's all part of God, And a dualist would separate the two numbers. Let's do math with it. A trans-dualist would look at the numbers and go, okay, we can do all sorts of mathematical expressions and ideas with these numbers. We can create buildings with these numbers. So it's really hard to explain, in normal language, normal speech, how, these processes alter your way of thinking.
Okay, thank you for attempting to, that guy.
Yeah.
Curmudgeon, welcome.
Thank you for the welcome.
Yeah. How are you doing, sir? And what is it in particular you feel compelled to say, if anything?
I felt compelled to say to you, if you can please tone down the anger, I would appreciate that. And I think everybody else would too.
He's not angry.
Oh my God, that took me like 10 minutes to understand that was sarcasm.
Yeah.
So
You'll get
Did
you'll get
someone
used to
join just
Curmudgeon.
to
You'll get
troll?
used to Curmudgeon. He's a very clever fox, and he does get us with both his wit and also his intellect.
Oh.
So
I wouldn't say
which
you're
are
angry.
which are both related. But anyway, Curmudgeon. Aside from that, anything else, brother?
No, I just finished work, so I was just hopping on
Hopping on.
because you guys were talking about something and something popped in my head, but then
Well,
now I forget. But
Yerfdog says I'm not angry enough. There you go. You can't please anybody in this fucking place, you know. But anyway,
where is your rage?
Actually,
where is my
DNW,
rage?
I just
Why
leapt
not
to your
serious?
never mind.
No,
Nothing.
Chippy, go ahead.
I just leapt to your defense, you know.
Yes, I appreciate you.
Thank
So,
you.
Gaia, with respect, I haven't a clue what you're on about, but
Ontology's hard. I understand, man. I was just realizing that people have such an easier understanding of theism versus atheism than dualism versus non-dualism. It's a lot harder to explain.
I read A Course in Miracles. I liked it.
Oh, you've read it. Yeah, I love that book as well. You know, I don't agree with the wording as a trans dualist, but you know, I view it as a beautiful text of non-dualism.
can you give us a breakdown of that book? Because I've never read it. But what is the kind of, if you can still remember, it might have been some time ago, but can you remember briefly what it was about?
Well, oh, that's Curmudgeon. You go, Curmudgeon.
No, go ahead. It's been a long time for me.
All right, yeah. Well, basically, it was written by this psychologist. I think it was in the 70s that supposedly channeled Jesus to create this text, and it's this massive text. You know, I got a copy right here. Let me see how freaking long it is. I think it's around 2,000 pages.
Oh, fantastic! Maybe you could just open a random page. I'll give you a page to read if that's okay.
Oh, sure. Yeah, no, I'm totally open to that.
What the first one, the one that came to mind first was 93, and then you can read Curmudgeon's number. Remember that number, Curmudgeon? 93. Maybe read the blurb first on the back, and then go to page 93. Is that okay? And then we'll go to Curmudgeon's page.
Yeah, it doesn't look like they really have blurbs at the back of it, you know, but
okay, is there like a foreword or something, or
yeah, I'm pretty sure there is. Let me check. Oh, here we go. What is A Course in Miracles? That's probably a good one. My goodness. There we go. Okay. Introduction. A Course in Miracles has become a contemporary spiritual classic. It stands by itself, not part of any larger tradition, and with no centralized movement behind it. The strength in its popularity can be in large part attributed to one reason: the power, beauty, and wisdom of its words. Since it was originally published in 1976, readers have recognized in those words truths that they have never known before, yet somewhere inside seem to have always known. As a result, these words have inspired profound and lifelong devotion into thousands of students around the world. At the heart of that devotion is the belief that those words came from beyond the human level, that rather being merely conceived by Helen Schumacher, they were received by her, perhaps by the very place that they claim to have come from the mind of Jesus. But let's get on. Let's see what this says right here.
Some people called it neo-Gnostic, a type of neo-Gnostic text.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I would agree with neo-Gnostic text in the sense of it bringing Gnosis, but I don't know about it being Gnostic in the sense of actual, Gnosticism.
Okay, Gaia, do you want to go to page 93 then?
Sure.
just randomly read wherever the first paragraph on that page appears.
All right, it's 93. The truth is that there are no idle thoughts. All thinking produces form at some level. The reason why some people are afraid of ESP and so often react against it is because they know that thoughts can hurt them. Their own thoughts have made them vulnerable. Who are you to complain about fear still persisting and how it produces in most of its time? I told you in the last section that you cannot ask me to release you from it, but I know it does not exist. You don't. I am merely intervening between your thoughts and their results. I would be tampering with the basic law of cause and effect. In fact, the most fundamental one there is in this world. I would hardly help you if I depreciated the power of your own thinking. This would be in direct opposition to the purpose of this course. So it's just really wild, dude. It has all this wording that gets your brain thinking in certain ways. And
ESP, is that extrasensory processes, is it? Or
yeah, that's what ESP traditionally stands for. That's what I'm assuming it was referring to there. Yep.
Did you ever go to a reading, a Course in Miracles reading group? There used to be a lot of those.
Oh, there still is. It's freaking massive.
Have you ever been to one?
I've never been to one. No, I haven't been to one in person. I haven't been to one digitally either.
that's interesting.
I'd definitely meet some like-minded people.
Okay.
Oh yeah, if there was one in person, I would definitely join. I know
mean,
I'd find
I
somebody
wouldn't be
that would
allowed
be
to read it on this
like-minded.
channel, would I? Because I reckon it's copyrighted.
Oh, I doubt. I mean,
That's
yeah,
an
I guess.
interesting one because there's like freaking 5 different versions of it.
Oh.
I think you probably could, but it's
Yeah, I think you might be. I
1,300
think the original Foundation to Inner Peace, you might be able to find a PDF at least of that or something. Oh no,
Yeah.
no, actually, you could definitely find PDFs of this because I actually have the version I have right here, which definitely should be under copyright, the Circle of Atonement edition. I have the full digital version on my Kindle.
Okay, I'll look it up. But anyway, Curmudgeon, did you have a page you wanted Gaia to read?
No.
You said 1,000 something. Come on, you did say a number.
Well, because we were talking about how many pages are there.
Oh, right, okay.
So it's 1,333.
Oh, wow.
My copy's 1,930.
Because you're using an e-copy, right?
I'm using the Circle of Atonement edition. It's the complete and annotated edition.
Oh, the annotations probably had.
Yeah, it has the original handwritten notes of Helen Schumacher in it.
I got the whatever the popular one is with the blue.
Oh, the blue one. Yeah, that's the Foundation to
Yeah.
Inner Peace version. That's the original version, the first one that was published.
Yeah.
So it's saying here I could read the 1975 original manuscript.
I could send you my copy if you want, because I don't use it anymore.
I think I can find it. It should be fine. But if I'm stuck, I'll let you know, bro. Appreciate it.
It's more fun if you do it in a group, honestly, because it's kind of like this vague, new age, deepity stuff that you can find a lot of interpretations in different passages. And yeah, like when you're in a group, you read like a part of it, and then a bunch of people give different interpretations. It's kind of fun. I like it. I had fun back then.
Well, what am I getting into here? But
I have an
okay.
issue,
I'll give a tentative. I would say more than likely I will read it. I'll just have a quick glance at it before I do because I want to have some level of enjoyment of it. But you're saying it's quite enjoyable, so that would be good.
Yeah, it's enjoyable as a thing to spark conversations, I think.
Yeah, and it's not as kind of out there as the Pistis Sophia, for example. Although I didn't mind parts of it. Yeah.
It kind of just gives you like these types of vague life lessons that can be interpreted. Okay. It's kind of like horoscopes.
Okay, interesting. Well, that might be good. Okay, thank you.
But it's an important text for like people who are into this stuff. So it's kind of good to know your enemy. I'm kidding, but I mean,
yeah.
No, that's
You know,
why I read all this stuff, man. It's good to be able to deconstruct and see where the culture's coming from, regardless
well,
of which
you
path.
mentioned the new
Yeah,
atheist stuff.
Frog says just buy it, D&W. No need to read it. Having it is what counts. Yeah, I can use it to stop my table from getting wobbly. Yeah,
The
thank
when
you,
my
thank
new
you.
atheist phase did include reading as many so-called holy books as I could, because I was like, okay, I'm going to reject the Abrahamic religions. I should probably expand my, like, I should be able to reject all of them if I'm going to claim to be an atheist, and then yeah, see what the hell they're claiming, you know. So
That's funny.
No,
You
it's
as an atheist reject them all. Me as a transtheist, I accept them all.
yeah, yeah.
you sound like you're Baha'i.
No, I've been really getting into Sri Rami Krishna lately. You know, I've been seeing the Neo Vedanta and how much it aligns up with this trans-dualistic thinking.
Hmm. Okay. Would you care to tell us about that?
Which aspect?
Yeah. Well, as much as you'd like to divulge.
Hmm. What were we just relating it to? We were just talking about something.
We were talking. Curious Curmudgeon was talking about rejecting religion,
Oh,
and that's
okay,
why.
okay. And how, okay, yeah, no, that's where I find just language fascinating, because I know most people would consider me probably like an omniist. You know, an omniist is someone that believes, you know, the validity in all religions, but doesn't believe that one is, you know, more important than the rest. And that's where me as a trans dualist, I literally see religion itself as transcendent. You know, I go that, you know, Catholicism is the one and only answer, but Hinduism is the one and only answer. They're all the one and only answer because they're all part of the same transcendent thing. So I just,
Okay.
I just take the time to actually make the pieces and connect them together. A lot of people, once they start getting on this path, they seem to, you know, sort of go, okay, I'm doing good. I'm just going to drop the pieces. I'm not going to keep laying a grid work for, you know, developing an actual foundation, you know. Meanwhile, I'm trying to build an actual foundation. You know, this saved my freaking life. It might be able to help others. I have no need
How
to
did it
push it
save
on
your life?
anybody, but if it might help somebody, then it should be out there and free.
How did it save your life?
Well, like I said to Chickpea earlier, that I was for over 10 years, I was stuck in this culture of, you know, uh, religious or religious fundamentalism, you know, saying you're going to hell if you don't believe everything we do. And then we got the new atheist saying, you know, it's all oblivion at the end. It's pointless, you know. So I was struggling for a sense of meaning in life, you know. That was the one thing I needed, is just a sense of meaning, to get out of the bed, you know, just to live, you know, not to unalive myself. And that's where I was going through this process. And this is where literature is amazing, because the first thing that led me to this process was the Odyssey. In the high school, because it was required reading, and all of a sudden I'm
Did you
gaining
say Odyssey or
the
the?
Odyssey by Homer.
Oh, nice.
So, you know, it was required
You
reading in
read that
high
in high
school.
school?
And so I'm reading the Odyssey, and I'm getting perspectives of
That's a
polytheism. And I'm going, okay, you're telling me all these ancient Greeks are in hell? I'm like, I think that might have been the moment too where I started
Did you
going,
do
okay,
classics in high school or something?
bro. What kind of high school? Like that should be every high school.
Yes.
Jesus.
Did you do
no,
classics or?
no. Matter of fact, I was in like a special ed English class, but that was
What?
like one of the one required readings that we had, and
Wait, when
I
you mean
Especially,
latched onto
especially
special,
it.
like you
fucking
mean
gifted
gifted, or
polymaths.
like the short school bus one?
What was all that? I'm. You guys were talking at the same time. I got
When you
lost
said
in
you were in
translation.
special ed, like was it for gifted or was it for like the short school bus kind of
Oh
thing?
no, I was pretty much designated to short school bus status, even
And
though
you
I was
read
a
the
fucking
fucking
like
Iliad and
genius.
Odyssey? You read
No,
Homer?
the school basically chose
What
to
the
only
fuck?
focus on the negatives I had and none of the positives. It was really fucked up. Like my best skills were in science, and they literally didn't let me take chemistry classes in high
I
school.
don't
They're
know
like,
if you've seen other people and their high school experience, but it does not include Homer. So I would be grateful for that.
Oh yeah, no, but that's where Homer, I got into the polytheistic thought, and I was realizing, okay, I haven't been killed by a lightning bolt yet by thinking about this. So, maybe all these ancient Greeks didn't get sent to hell. Maybe there's more complexity than just this, binary dynamic of fundamentalist Christianity and new
Hey,
atheist, doomerism.
1 second, Gaia. We have the
Yeah.
wonderful social experimentalist here who says, "Join the misotheists, or join the haters of God." But maybe you are God yourself, Mr. Shine, and maybe it would be worrying for you
hate is
to hate
negative.
yourself. But we saw
Hate
your post, Mr. Shine, on your channel. We do wish you very well. We hope you're doing exceedingly well, and
Yeah, you
that
should come on so people can know what the update is.
yeah, you please come on, Brother Shine, and let us know your thoughts on reality and your transcendence. We do wish you well, bro. So yeah, hope you're well, mate.
Misotheist, that's a fascinating word. It just gets me thinking, all right, let's have
Well,
agapic theism with misotheism. Let's love God with all our hearts, but hate him at the same time.
Well, hate sounds negative, and I don't do drama.
no, it's funny because there were actually these. I don't know enough about them, but there were these Vikings back in the day that used to go around, and they literally hated God, and they wanted to go to Valhalla and kill the gods for creating this world.
Oh, shit.
Yeah,
Gnostic
yeah.
Vikings fucking trying
I
to
don't know. Yeah,
murder
I
the
suppose
gods
they
of
were kind of like
Valhalla?
Gnostic. They were kind of like Gnostic Vikings. Yeah,
They were definitely
they
Gnostic
hated the world
Vikings.
so much that they wanted to kill God. Basically, their goal was to go to Valhalla and find whoever caused this and kill them.
Well, everybody needs a purpose to get out of bed, so they found theirs.
Social experimentalist is being a little bit at least years ago this could have got us beheaded. Having that's been said in public, but there you go. Are you coming on here, Mr. Shine? We do hope you're well. He goes on to say, "Fuck the world." He is on a right mission tonight to enlighten
That
the
doesn't
masses.
seem like it would be very pleasurable.
Yeah, maybe he's developed a new fetish. Maybe he wants to,
A new philia. Oh my
yeah.
goodness.
He'll be getting up in Blue Origin soon, flying up above the world and wanking off, looking at it or
My
something. I don't know.
username is making me feel threatened.
He says, "Sorry, his wife is sleeping." Okay, brother, no problem.
My goodness.
But yeah, what did you think? By the way, I just mentioned Blue Origin. What did you think of that, guys? What did you think of these celebrities that went up above and danced around? I don't even know if it was. I mean, they went above the atmosphere, right?
Holy crap, I had a literal yawn.
It was a great day for women. I appreciate it.
It was a great day for women. Would you consider them astronauts? Because that was the point of contention.
Well, they went into space, so they're astronauts. Absolutely.
Okay, yeah. This was the issue that some people got a bit riled up when they were labeled as astronauts. Okay.
When they do this SpaceX thing, is it just going to be like literally everybody that goes traveling? Is that going to be an astronaut now?
I mean, I would call them space tourists. I wouldn't call them astronauts myself, because I think astronaut. It lends one to believe there was a lot of training, and it's very it's almost a qualification. Not everyone can do that. Whereas space tourists, pretty much everyone can go up unless you have some kind of weird blood pressure problem, perhaps, or something. Sanctuary Seekers, the lost and found, hi all, hi divine. Are you coming on here, Sanctuary? They say something's fake. Oh, he says the Blue Origin is fake. They never went to space, so he doesn't believe it actually happened. So there you go.
Oh yeah, it was a green screen.
Yeah. I mean, I saw the video. There was people claiming that there was some malfunction with the staged fakeness of it all, and the door apparently was made of cling film or something, and it wasn't space worthy. But yeah, I mean, I saw that the efforts to say it were faked were easily debunked. I mean, I believe they actually went up. I do.
My goodness, these
Yeah,
days
but
are interesting for conspiracy theories. It is just you can get all your entertainment just off of all these people coming up with their conspiracies.
well, that term conspiracy theory came from the CIA, so
Yep.
just beware of that. It's a way to discredit.
Oh, I'm just saying, man, it's freaking fascinating. It's just freaking crazy. Well, it's sort of like how, did you hear about they're saying that the next step of where the church and religion is leading is to the rise of digital cults, digital micro churches and whatnot, in the metaverse.
Wait, oh, so like VR churches?
Yeah, they're saying that's going to be the next big thing. They're saying that the next when
Well, there
churches
was
actually
a
become popular again, they're going to be virtual churches that are going to be
there
getting
was a
popular.
fella that was on here. I actually don't know if it's you or not. Someone was saying they were on VR for several years.
No, it
Oh
wasn't him.
yeah, the dragon from the other day. Yeah,
Dragon fruit. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. I mean,
Yep.
I know it exists. I just never. I don't know. I don't have a craving to try VR and live in it.
Sanctuary says you call it conspiracy. I say prove they went up to space.
Aha. That's a good
There you
one.
go. The burden
I say
proof.
prove space is space, man.
Yeah,
Astronaut's sort of a
exactly.
meaningless term when we don't know where the hell we are as a species.
Exactly. Space is an illusion.
For reals, it could be real, but it's also an illusion, man. There's just we don't know enough.
Mhm.
Oh, for fuck's sake! Come on.
What happened?
I just need to cling on to something tangible. Come on. I'm fed up free falling. Give me something to grab onto, for fuck's sake.
That's the way I was just thinking. I'm like, boy, I probably sound like I'm one of those people back in the day. Don't sail off that sea, man. You'll fall off the earth.
Buddy thinks Katy Perry went up to space. Well, regardless of that, one way or another, I mean, it was funny when she just took out like a daisy or something and just started pouting at the
She's
camera for the whole time
adorable.
she was up there.
She's adorable. I don't know why people hate her.
I don't hate her.
Are you like a Swiftie or something? Or are you
Who,
just a
me?
fan? Yeah.
No, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was talking to Curmudgeon. I was asking if he was, a Swiftie or if he's just appreciates her.
I just think so. I saw a lot of hate towards her, and first of all, she wasn't alone, so I don't know why she got all the hate. And the fact that she pulls out a daisy, like whatever, man. Like she's in fucking space. Like let her have a good time. Why? Like I don't know. The negativity was insane. It's just like it makes okay. She's like pulling out a cute little thing. Like I don't know. Let people
Fuck,
be
man. Even
happy.
the leftists
Holy
hate
shit.
hippies nowadays. What'd you expect when she pulls the flower out, man? That's
Like
offensive.
the world is shit. Let people be happy sometimes. Holy
For
crap.
reals.
Here's a flower, and then the world's like, fuck you. What?
I'm like, there's anything you could have made more controversial, the carbon from all the fucking jet fuel, but no, you're gonna focus on a daisy.
Yeah, here's a nice whimsical gesture at the camera, blowing a kiss to the rest of humanity, smiling. Fuck you, bitch. Yeah.
Fuck you. That's essentially what
It's
I
also
saw.
probably
Just
just some of
everyone's
those
angry at
people
her.
that.
Like, what?
I got to say one thing though. At least she got away from Russell Brand.
Oh God.
Are they together?
Used to be married,
Oh,
I
what?
believe, but they
Oh,
they
wow.
got away. Well, they used
I
to
didn't
be. They
know
were definitely in a very long-term relationship a few years back.
Huh. Wow.
Huh.
I don't follow celebrity stuff.
Yerf dogs. Hello, Yerf dogs.
Good morning, all.
Hello,
Morning.
sir. How are you
Thought
doing?
I'd just come on and contribute to the chaos.
Yes, the entropy.
Yeah, exactly. If I can hurry that up, we're all the better for it.
Yeah. So, and I think you feel compelled to say. By the way, Divine and Sanctuary are having a love fest in the comments. Two conspiratorial entities. Some would call you schizoid personality types. I would call you people who questioning reality, and I love it. So, yes, Yerf dogs. What is going on?
Oh no, honestly, I've got an hour to kill, so I thought I'd pop on and anything that popped up. I was hoping to talk to that fella about the evolution stuff, but he toddled off.
Yeah, I mean, I personally do believe in evolution, but I mean, it seems to be
Oh,
pretty much well explained.
no. That's what the masses want to tell you.
For reals. No, I was into monogenesis for so long because of the ethical considerations. I'm like, I don't want to be associated, with I don't want my spirituality associated with scientific racism. So I must be a genesis. That's what it is, monogenesis. I must be into monogenesis. And
We lost Chickpea. Chickpea, come back.
I had a
oh,
quick
Chickpea
look at
dropped. Where'd she go?
Gaia's video that he linked. I kind of skimmed through it, but I didn't really get it.
Is this Gaia here? Gaia's here right now. He's
Yeah,
shared his video.
yeah.
By the way,
Yep.
yes, we have sound, Hazel. That's no good if she can't hear me. I better tell her in a type. Sorry. Go ahead and tell
I'm
us.
interested. If you want the conversation to go that direction, cool. If not, go.
Yeah,
Because
no.
you were originally talking about
the
addiction.
video. Talk about the video. But disturbingly, he left this show to go and watch your video. That's insulting. I'm joking. Go ahead. Yes. Tell me
but that
about
was
this
when
video.
you walked away. That was when you went away from the
right.
panel.
Okay.
Jesus.
Go ahead then. Yes, Sanctuary can hear us, but Divine can't. Anyway, go ahead. Talk about this video. What didn't you understand? What would you like clarification on? This is Gaia's video. Gaia, you can share it again in the chat. Yeah.
I didn't get. I don't know. I just didn't get it. I was maybe I was just skimming the wrong bits or anything. But like I noticed in the description, you said it somehow negates the idea of speciation.
Yes, well, it's a really interesting. I came up with this theory, transgenesis, and transgenesis. It's really interesting because it's basically about the hybridity of our species. That none of us are pure. In our genetics, we're all so culturally intermixed.
Speak for yourself.
But anyway, that it can't be as simple as we all came from Africa, but it can't be as simple as Asians came from there and Africans came from there. It's that.
What about the point of view that the simplest explanation is often the answer?
I don't agree with Occam's razor for the most part. I'm more apt to use Crabtree's bludgeon. I'm a bludgeoner. I use Crabtree's bludgeon, as any absurd, thought experiment somebody could come up with, somebody else could figure it out.
What about the saying it's a little bit more complicated than that?
Okay, that just sounds like a platitude,
I was trying to help your side.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah. He
was you? I confuse myself sometimes,
but you know
man.
what? I'll go with what Gaia said. Yeah. It is a little bit more complicated than that, but yeah, it's very complicated.
Yeah, well, that's where it was really interesting because I was discovering that how much of our evolution has to do with horizontal gene transfer.
Yeah,
that's where it was getting into the hybridity of our species. That
it's not all about the breeding. Sometimes, as you say, it's like having some weird DNA inserted by a mosquito or something.
Oh yeah, no, exactly. They were like 10% of our DNA is viral, and then it was when I was doing this video, talking with the AI and stuff, it was basically talking about how the epigenetics, that we're the first species that cooks with fire, and how much that changed our gut and our GI, and how much that changed our brains, and just how it's not just about, like you said, it's not just about breeding, it's about technology. The technology influences our biology, or maybe even our sentience.
But doesn't evolution, as it's understood, we don't need a new theory. It accounts for all those things. I thought anyway.
No, you're probably correct on that for the most part, but that's where I've moved beyond science. I've moved beyond religion. I'm doing my own thing.
Cool.
Okay. Well, anybody else want to come on, guys? Please do. The Chickpea come back. Divine, come on. The more seats filled, the better. I mean, you guys, you can come on. You don't actually have to say anything all the time. You should know that now.
Also, I want to find out why the cat left for 2 years and then came back. And should she take him back after 2 years of abandonment?
Interesting. Well, we'll have her opinions on that.
This is a very serious topic, man. I don't
Asking
know
the
why.
tough
Why
questions.
we?
Sanctuary,
Yeah.
you coming on? Anybody in the chat, you're welcome to come on. Yeah, I mean, that's it, really. I mean, I don't know what to say, really. I'm lost for words. We've been chit-chatting quite a while now, and as usual, we still haven't found Gnosis, but at least we tried. We have Chickpea coming back. Hello, Chickpea.
Hey, no, the cat's been away for 2 years. I don't know where he's been. He just sort of came back after 2 years. Maybe he's been away with his owner or something. But it was such a strange thing to see them fighting in the living room. A real fight they were having over Bella. Mad cats. I love them.
Well, Bella probably found someone, right? While he was gone. So,
No,
like, I don't know why.
Bella's,
Like, there should be some method of understanding, right?
no, Bella's been pretty much a house cat the past 2 years. She used to go out every night when this tomcat used to turn up. Every night she used to go out. And then she stopped going out. And I just cottoned on. Obviously, the cat doesn't turn up anymore. And then all of a sudden, he came back. He's a black cat with a white moustache. So I recognized him straight away. Yes, Bella. So, yes. But anyway, my ginger tomcat is now guarding the cat flap.
Hello to Sanctuary. Sanctuary, hello. Do you want to welcome yourself and just introduce yourself, please?
Yeah. Hey, good to be on, bro.
That's yourself again. Good to have you.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. How's everybody doing? How's everybody's night going? Friday night. How you guys all doing?
Yeah, good. Thank you. Good. You?
Oh, doing good, man.
Good.
Listening to the show as always. Great show, fire show, high IQ panel. Probably one of the highest IQ panels on YouTube you could meet. I'm being serious, by the way. I'm not trolling. That's why I love coming out. See, I think this. How do you? I'm looking at the screen. Gaia the Sage.
Yeah.
Yeah. What I like about this guy is I have similarities to him. Where every day I do question, not necessarily the existence of reality, but just I question what are the possibilities as far as this evolution, right? Because we are evolving every day, just not just as humans, but just everything around us. And I question it. And I think religion has a very small mind of the theory of God, the Most High.
Yep.
Whereas if when we're breaking it down the way we're breaking it down, we say, no, man, God is way more than your little small-minded religion. He's very evolutionary. And it's like, that's the thing, man. I talk to guys like Gaia and the other people in this community, and they're talking to the Most High. They're getting downloads, which is why I like coming to these channels. Again, I'm long gone away from those religious days, man. That's not.
Well, great to have you back, bro, and I appreciate your kind words about Gaia and all the folks.
Yeah, thanks.
Sorry,
Kings or Oilers?
What was that? Humans are what?
For Seeker, Kings or Oilers?
Kings or Oilers?
Choose your next words very, very carefully.
Well, what do you mean by Oilers? Help me understand.
Tonight.
there's a match on.
Oh, there's a NHL. Wait a sec. What gave you the What gave you the impression that I watch hockey, my friend?
Do you?
No, it's been a couple years. I only watch combat sports. I only watch the boxing and UFC. That's all I watch these days.
Well, interesting on that hockey. I mean, I don't know where it originated, but apparently the Native Americans in Nova Scotia used to play a hockey-like game. And some people speculate it came from there. But I do think there is like they did play like hockey in Europe, and they played hurling.
You don't know where hockey originated from? Are you kidding me?
Well, they played hurling.
Canadian, bruh. Hockey's
Yeah,
Canadian, bruh.
I know. Like even
Yeah, hey,
American football started
Fucking A,
in
bruh.
fucking A, bro.
American football and hockey started in Montreal, right?
Hockey did.
And American football. It
Yeah,
started in Canada.
American football was also founded in
And
Canada.
the weird thing is, right? Basketball would have started in Montreal as well, because the guy who started it was there teaching in university before he moved south. He moved south, and it could have started in Canada as well, but it didn't. That's interesting. Now, but what I wanted to say was the Native Americans played a hockey-like game in Nova Scotia, but apparently they say they learned it from Vikings who came over, because you know the way the Vikings apparently lived a little while in Newfoundland, and then there's speculation that they might have brought over something with them, because the Vikings played this insane game. I don't know if you ever saw it, but it was like it was a stick game, and it was like I think it was like sometimes it was teams against teams, and sometimes it was one-on-one, but it was like hitting one ball from one end to the other of a field. But it was literally it wasn't. You weren't.
It's like lacrosse. Sounds like lacrosse.
No. It was on the ground. But put it this way, you weren't just hitting the ball. It was fucking insane. I read about it. It was like a brutal, very brutal, bone-breaking battle on the field. It was insane.
Sounds like a mixture of rugby and hockey. That's
it sounds like ice hockey without the fucking helmet and without all the helmet, and also without the ice. Generally, it was played in a field, but it was a brutal game. Yeah.
Damn. Ouch.
Anyway, Seeker, just to kind of, to try and give a resemblance of, applying some structure to the show. That is, we obviously go all over the place here, but the topic was Descent and Transcendence. Is it something you'd care to comment on? I don't have to direct your thoughts, but like most of us here have had feelings where we've sensed something was off. Maybe we've had melancholy, depression. Maybe we've had a dark night of the soul to varying degrees, and then some of us have remained there, languished there. Some of us have moved on somewhat. Some have become like a positive, like Gaia here. What about you? Is it something you'd like to give a few words on? Descent and Transcendence, maybe addiction, mental health, dark night to the soul, and the thing you care to enunciate?
Well, right now, I mean, are you asking specifically regarding depression or
whatever, bro, within that like whole thing? I mean, it's just basically, when I say descent, I mean it can be like you start breaking down, you start questioning reality, and it makes you feel a bit shitty. Perhaps you have a dark night of the soul, perhaps, and you feel like
an
almost
existential crisis.
An existential crisis. Exactly, that's it. Things start falling apart at the seams in terms of everything you ever were taught, and then you start like it is a very discombobulating and bamboozling thing to experience, like to start questioning reality. And some people stay there, they stay looking at the abyss and they don't get out of it, but some people do somehow climb out of it. But I'm wondering what your thoughts are on it, if you have any personal things you'd like to, like personal thoughts you'd like to share on it.
Absolutely, yeah, and I know exactly what you're referring to now. So yeah, I'll give you a very good answer here. So I would say when I started having like the descent type of feeling, where it was a really bad like external crisis, and it was like as far as why do we exist, blah blah blah. But then I kind of came to like an understanding, but I didn't like it. It was a very disturbing type of emotion. I wouldn't say it was sadness. I would say it would be in the fear sector. It was kind of like that in the fear category, but it was a different one. It was like, because I was watching like near-death experience videos, and I didn't know if I really liked the answers. Also, for the record, I'll just say this: I would, but I mean, I am in Canada, right, where it's legal to smoke weed, but I was kind of doing that at the time, and I think that causes some paranoia. So yeah, I was having it. I was kind of having a bad trip of it. Now, however, when I kind of stopped the weed at that time, I think this was around last summer, right? I stopped, and then the more and more I kept looking into it, that it's like, yeah, like the spirituality does exist. You just kept every day fighting it and fighting it. Eventually, it turned from a frightening thing to a beautiful thing. Um, and I didn't really have any beliefs. But like I see you guys throwing a lot of labels out here, a lot of labels, and that's cool. I got no issues with that, but I don't abide to labels. If anything, I would say I hold Stoic philosophy in high
What is
regards.
stoic? Is that a label?
What's that, my friend?
What is this label you call stoic? And
Well,
how do
if
you
you,
define label? And what are words?
well,
You
you
can look
guys,
sarcastic because these
I
labels all have meaning. They're just words with terms.
right, but I'm saying people have been throwing around a lot of labels in this panel, a lot of labels, right? All kinds of beliefs, whether it's agnostic, atheist, religious, anything like that. That's a label. You're now labeling yourself to that certain belief, um, and so uh, just going through that whole motion of how people have to kind of abide by something. I eventually fuck, where was I going with this before you interrupted me, man? You kind of got me to lose my train of thought.
Stoic.
Yeah, but
You were talking about stoic.
I kind of jabbed it in, but that wasn't my point. Anyway, somebody else could take the floor. My train of thought's all racked up now.
I
Just
think
make
labels are a great thing for language. I just think that when you tie them to the ego and identity, that's when things get all mucky and get into dirt, you know? So it's a fascinating thing because it's sort of like, you see the language, the God within language. So you end up criticizing people that use language because it's limiting. But I don't know. It's fascinating. It's an interesting thing.
People who complain about labels use labels. It's such a frustrating experience because it's like in the next sentence, they'll use terms that it's either you're aware of the terms or you're not. That's it.
Well, it's one of
That's
those
all.
things where I feel like I feel like I understand it because I used to be so negative, and one of the things that I fucking loved back in the day was one of these quotes from Battlestar Galactica, of one of the Cylons talking about wanting to smell dark matter and see dark energy and all this different stuff, and how stupid the language is because of how limiting it was, and I loved that back in the day. But now I've had this literary awakening where I've started to realize the power in language, and I go, okay, I'm using the wrong label. It just means I need to get better at fine tuning it. I need to understand more.
Hmm. But
well,
Seeker, you were
what
talking
I'm
about
saying
your
is,
process of existential crisis.
yeah, I just don't worry. It's all good. Don't worry about it. But yeah, as far as the label thing goes, I mean, obviously we're gonna at times refer to certain beliefs or whatever. But I'm just saying the problem I have with beliefs, right? Maybe you guys are gonna get stuck on the word label and not follow my point here. It's more I'm referring to beliefs, right? So
Okay.
when you have a certain belief, like for example, if someone is gonna just stick on the fact that they're an agnostic and they're not gonna want to branch out, like to me that really sucks if you want to stay as an agnostic because well, you don't have to be that. You could be like, for example, a philosopher, right? I mean, if you're not like an agnostic philosopher, then I don't know what the fuck your point is because being an agnostic is a good thing because you're really a true seeker. You don't know if God exists. You don't know if he doesn't exist. But if you're not really looking for truths or answers or what the truth is, then you're going to be stuck with that label, and you might want to be comfortable with wearing that label. That's what I'm getting at. Is I don't to me personally, I don't have any labels. I don't have any beliefs. I look for the truth, And the truth is not one thing. The truth is it comes every day, and it comes in forms of lessons, tasks, even through people.
Okay, you
I
just
think
made
what
a
you,
bunch of statements. Wait,
I
wait,
think
wait.
what you mean.
Do you believe what you just said?
Do I believe? Yes, of course I do. I wouldn't have
I
But
said
think
you
it.
what
said
you
you
mean.
had no beliefs.
I think what he means is he's willing to let go of things if proven.
He's
You
saying
don't
he
Well,
have to
that's
doesn't
the
really.
let
law of
the beliefs
detachment.
hold him slave,
No, no,
that
that's the
he
law
works
of
with the beliefs.
detachment. No, that's not what I'm getting at. I'm not saying that beliefs hold you slave, but even though they can, I'm not saying they can't, they can, but that's not my point. I'm just saying when you have a belief, it's kind of like when we're talking religion, right? You're now stuck to a certain close minded belief system. Whether it involves rules, it doesn't involve rules, but it's a small minded perspective.
I get
Whereas
where you're
if
coming from, but I think that's where, a theologian can argue a philosopher doesn't know anything about religion when in reality they're just different words and different expressions of the same truth, It's, again, it's a mixture of semantics and how our emotions play with them.
no, for sure, for sure. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
why me personally, I just preach being open minded to hearing the truth.
Well, that's where I can apply a label to myself, but I don't hold it to my ego. I can drop it the next day if I need to, or I could pick it back up. I don't,
Mm,
hold it. I don't hold
mm,
it so closely to myself like that.
There's a
mm,
Uh,
there's a
mm.
certain term that gets used a lot, and I'm curious what everybody thinks. When you use the word truth or true, what do you
Mm.
mean?
Well, in what context though? You got to give us some
I think
context.
I think it's something that is said um, that has some ability to be tested and within the confines of our, obviously, we do have to accept that there isn't any ability to truly know anything. Like, you have to be like, we could be looking at things from the confines of our biological flawed brain that that sees something that isn't there. We're slaves to a system that might be inadequate. Okay. But what is truth? Well, it's using, to me, it's about the scientific method. It's using this methodology to show whether something looks likely to be caused by something else within our ambit of so-called appreciation of reality. So within our ambit of measurements, it has to have some measurable quality to it, in my view. But whilst also admitting that it could also be wrong, but it's the nearest thing we have to touching something that we can say makes sense. What is that too convoluted?
No, not you're ultimately just said the truth is relative, because it is at the end of the day, it still is. Um, but I do think some things are plain and simple, like you know that some things are the truth. They're simply the truth. If we're talking about if I rode my bike at 5 p.m. today, that's there.
There's
It's not
something
really
about the appeal to, like, there's something about the majority, and if the majority are saying one thing, then you got to ask, is it the case? But
right.
appealing to the majority isn't indicative of the truth either.
That's
In a lot of
facts.
cases, so it's a
Yes.
huge problem. Curmudgeon, can we ask the same question to you, bro?
Not until I hear from everybody.
Okay.
All right, let me share a really transgressive Gnostic thought I have on this. All right, my thought on truth is that truth itself is manipulation because, it's not this objective versus subjective. Our reality is our perception. And we have this transjective, relationship with our perception and our consciousness.
Mm.
What do you guys think about that?
I think that was very deep. I think it was very deep, but it was in.
I'm not gonna lie, you said it really fast. Do you mind repeating it a little slower for
Sure.
the slow brains like myself?
Truth itself is manipulation. While objective reality exists, our perception is transjective, as consciousness itself is perception.
As consciousness itself is projection.
Perception.
Perception. I mean, it makes sense. It makes sense. I mean, ultimately, you're saying that, one walks through life and, can see things however they are, but might see it from their perspective. That's kind of what I get from your statement there.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Which, again, it's not different than DNWs. That truth is relative.
Yes,
I think
exactly.
I think we can all pretty much agree on that, but I'm assuming our friend wants everybody to go around, so I won't butcher your question up at all. So
I'll jump in. In response to what Gaia just said, I would say that I agree with Sartre that existence precedes essence. So talking about truth and as a form of, like, you're talking about transjective stuff and anyway, that's what I think that would be my response to what you just said. Excuse me. Truth. I think for me, truth is a shorthand I use because I don't want to keep saying to people all the time, I'm trying to get away from error, because that just sounds too dicky and wanky. I don't know. I don't think, truth is a very, I think it's out of our reach in a sense.
Yeah.
If you're talking about, I don't know, what's the word, metaphysical truths, I think we can't really know them.
Because you have dogs.
Sorry.
I was
Yes,
thinking
mate.
about your getting away from error thing, but it's not as simple to say truth is something that hasn't been proved erroneous, because there are some things we can't know, but we can't say they're true. You know what I mean? But yet they haven't been proved erroneous. So do you not think there's something about measurement, being able to measure something like?
Well, if we can't prove whether it is or
Yeah.
isn't true, then we can't say that it is true. That would
Yeah.
be my response. And we can't say that it's false. I mean, if it's
Yeah, but
unprovable.
so basically it implies some level of being able to be measured.
Right, and that's I was going to. I mean, what you touched on that as well. I mean, if I mean, people don't like me for this, but I prefer to get into. I like syllogisms, and I like people to articulate their arguments precisely and clearly, because I'm not really particularly concerned about the opinions that people hold. Anyone can utter an opinion. I'm interested in the reasons behind it, and if your reasons actually lead to that opinion in a legitimate fashion. So, but I mean,
That's
as for
fair.
truth, but anyway, that's my kind of non-contribution to the answer. Sorry.
Chickpea, are you there?
I'm still here.
You want to answer Curmudgeon's question then?
I haven't got. You know what? I don't know what you guys are talking about. It's totally over my head.
Well, you can give your own answer and however you want to say it.
I don't know what it is.
Do you want to ask her the question again, Curmudgeon?
No, I don't know. It's completely over my head. I've never even thought about these things. I've never thought about it.
Chickpea,
Yes.
do you seek truth?
Yes, of course I do.
Okay, of course you do. What
Yeah.
exactly do you mean by truth?
Well, the truth, good question. The truth, well, of course I want, well, you know what? Yes, good question. I mean, to me, the truth has just been, is someone lying to me or not? Can I trust them? That's as far as my concept of truth goes, apart from, of course, yeah. As far as I've never thought along these lengths, depths, things. I haven't, never.
Can be quite scary, actually.
It's just completely out of my, you're out of my depth, I'm afraid.
Thank you all for answering. I think this demonstrates that we all have different conceptions of what truth is. So when we all hop on. We are kind of opining, but we're all using the same term. We all want to seek truth, but we all have different concepts of truth. So I think that's
it is a big issue. It's funny, and it is true.
Well, I would challenge that, Curious, because I would say I'm not seeking truth. I'm seeking to get away from error. So I'm not heading towards anything. I'm heading away, I think.
Have you questioned your methodology of using analytic analysis?
Questioned. I have, from what I can perceive, which, we can, whatever that word, anyway, gosh, excuse me, guys. Have I questioned? From my experience, but anyway, that can be challenged as well. As far as I see it, that is the best model we have for reasoning. Like when I talk about syllogisms and logic and all that stuff, I don't think
the Continentals would disagree. You're aware of the critique.
I beg your pardon. I didn't catch that, but sorry.
Like, you're aware that there's critique about like the Continental way of philosophy versus like more analytic.
Of course, yeah.
So, I mean, I'm an analytic too, but I'm aware that people criticize that way of coming to to analyze. I mean, I'm still not like, there's a reason I don't go over to that side, but I'm just curious like if you see.
Well, I wouldn't. I mean, I would never go so far as to say that. I mean, if we wanted to talk about continental versus analytic, I would never say continental has nothing of value to offer, because it has immense value. It's the same with
you want to use analytic tools to evaluate Continental's contributions.
It depends on their contribution. I think also there's a lot of value in myths and stories and legends and fables.
Right.
Just because I can't syllogize those, for example, I'm not saying that they lack value, which to me is a different question from truth.
Right. But
I'm saying
that you said that I thought it was like metaphysical truths. That would counter what D&W said, that truth ought to be measured, because you can't measure metaphysical.
I agree, and I use that word because I'm speaking off the cuff here. I wasn't specifically getting into that subject matter, and I can't really recall exactly what I said. I did perhaps. I mean, I could be wrong when I review the material, but was I saying something like, sometimes metaphysical stuff can't be syllogized? Was that what I was saying? I don't know. Sorry, I can't remember what I actually said there, using metaphysical as a term.
Yeah, it's one of the probably. It's a great question as usual, Curmudgeon. But yeah.
Does Curmudgeon have an answer for us? He promised us he'd.
He said he's analytical about things,
right,
isn't it?
Right.
Well, there's a difference between method and a method towards something. So what is the something that we're working towards, right? Like using the term science, science is a method, right?
It's a framework.
So,
yeah.
Well, I mean, to be honest with you, what can we do? We have to appreciate the confines of what we're in. We have a certain level of sensory perception, and our sensory perception allows us to speculate that there may well be other things happening that we can't see or sense. Okay, so we know, for example, there's UV light. We know there's other things out there in this universe that, although we can't see, we can sense an effect that's there. And we can speculate as to them, and we can perhaps use scientific method to measure the impact of something and give it a name, even though we can't see it. And then hopefully we can hand the baton to AI to sense things. We know that, for example, we can maybe hope to build some kind of scientific architecture that will be able to sense things we can't sense, because it comes down to being able to sense things, in my view, to try and appreciate what's going on. And we definitely have a deficit, so.
But you were talking about the scientific method. I disagree that science is trying to find truth. I think of science and the scientific method as falsification, trying to get away from stuff that's wrong.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, these things are said to be a theory because it's like, well, it's the best. This is the best explanation,
Right,
but
right.
it
That's
could
right.
be wrong. Yeah, it could
That's
be wrong.
right.
Yeah.
It's limiting to a materialistic worldview, right?
Yep.
Yes. But that's all we can work with, right? We can only work with what we can sense, right?
Well, other people work outside of that.
True,
No,
true,
Yes.
true.
that's
That
exactly
comes
what I
down to
was
the way of
thinking. Is
knowing.
that?
But then
I was
again,
just-
they'll be saying they're sensing something, that we can't sense. It goes around and around. But
No, that's exactly what I was just thinking, that, that if we went 400 years back in the past and explained, the science of magnetism to people, they would say that we are being very scientific with our metaphysics, that form of metaphysics is scientific, and then we'd pass it off on to the scientists, or like you said. So it's really interesting thing how it goes full circle, like you said.
But I reckon seriously, like what we currently can know is infinitely more valuable than what we currently can't know. And even if the former two, like even if what we can know turns out to be wrong later on, that still doesn't change the fact that right now, what we can know is more important than what we can't.
yeah, and it's building off that. It's like
Yeah.
standing on the shoulders of giants. Like we're
As
trying
long as
to.
we don't stagnate, that's right, shoulders of giants. As long as we keep pushing forward and testing stuff.
You mean as like a species or individualistic? Because like, what if I just want to like chill in my rocking chair, man?
Yeah, I think as a species, or as a species. And
Actually, I
obviously
mean you specifically. You.
Yeah, it's all
You
it's all
want me to
down
do
to you.
more work? Oh man.
We are NPCs. This is your universe. Everything's your fault, if this goes wrong.
Yeah.
Just wanted to know that. Yvonne is here. Welcome again, Yvonne. Common
Oh,
sense.
Yvonne would have an interesting.
You
I bet
definitely
Yvonne
would.
has a what's it called? Would have an interesting answer.
Yeah. Hello to Global as well. Guys, anybody else want to come on it? I've got to be honest, I am fading a little bit, so I probably will go soon. So if you want to come on here, please. I've had a long day, so please.
Before you go, can you give me advice on mental health?
Oh, well, that's what I was hoping to get from others here tonight. And what can I say? Get sleep, because I didn't get enough sleep last night. So yeah, I
But
think
what if
that's.
I can't sleep because I'm in mental health?
Yeah. I don't know. Medically induced coma, perhaps. I don't know.
Propranolol, just to go the freaking Michael Jackson route. Get a private doctor.
Well, yeah. Be careful of that.
For reals.
Chloroform, mate. Just put it on a tissue over your face. You'll be out in a flash.
Oh, careful. That will be clipped and used against you.
Well, yeah.
Yvonne says that they know nothing. They're too humble to tell others what to do. There you go. Very nice.
Can't you guys sleep then?
Sorry?
Can't you guys sleep?
I'm not a full-time insomniac, but poor old curmudgeon is.
Yeah, I don't sleep. I just dream.
Oh,
I lay down
Wow.
for 60 days. I didn't sleep for 60 days. What did you do? What did you do, Jordan? I just lay there for 7 hours, and then I got up.
Oh my gosh.
And what was it that made you do this? Apple cider vinegar. Yeah. So
And the sad thing is, that's pretty much exactly true. Well, true.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
the word true.
that and being addicted to benzos probably as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You getting a dig at me?
No, I was mocking Jordan Peterson. Sorry, you don't know who that. Probably don't know who that. Yeah.
You're mocking Jordan Peterson about what?
Well, he did go through this period where he claims he didn't sleep at all. It was either for 60 days or 100 days. Yeah.
What?
Oh, I've
He
never heard
literally,
about that.
like he literally, I don't know if like Brother Marcus, you said you're an insomniac, right? But you do get moments where you kind of just sleep for like 20 minutes, surely.
Yeah, I think like about 2 hours to 3 hours is like
Yeah,
max. I
yeah,
can
yeah,
sleep. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I've never heard of anyone, right, except for those Amazonian tribes that they say exist, where they just lean against a tree with their eyes open, looking for poisonous frogs.
Hmm.
But Jordan Peterson claimed like he didn't sleep for like 60 days or 100 days or something. He used to just go to bed, lay down beside his wife, and just stare at the ceiling, and then he'd get up 7 hours later. He said that on the Joe Rogan podcast, and I believe he said it's because he was allergic to sulfites in apple cider vinegar. That's what I believe.
Is that what he said?
Something like that. Yeah.
Very strange. I've heard about him doing the whole carnivore diet. You know, he says he can't eat anything but red meat or whatever. But I never heard about that whole bit about him sleeping. That sounds like he's trying to pull some Indian guru shit. You know.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Just
but no,
reminds me
he
of
didn't.
some of
He
the
didn't
stuff
say it was a
Sat Age
superpower.
Guru had said.
He didn't say it like in a kind of superpower way. He said it like he was going through hell, basically. Yeah.
Oh, okay, for sure. Okay, he wasn't like okay, all right, for sure.
And Chicky has the opposite problem where she sleeps like what, 20 hours a day?
No, not that's exaggerating a bit. No, I sleep about 12 hours a day. 12.
Oh, lucky.
Hypersomnia, isn't that what they call it?
I love it. I've always done, even when I was young, I've always slept a lot, thankfully.
Hypersomnia, I think they call
I
it.
once did sleep for 24 hours right around the clock, but I've only done that once in my whole life. But I could sleep when I was young, I'd sleep for 16, 17 hours sometimes. Yeah, I've always slept a lot. It's escapism for me. Beautiful escapism.
I feel you. I was born sleeping for the first 2 weeks of my life.
No, but I'm like a cat, you know.
Didn't even wake up for the baths. I'm like,
No.
nope.
No, I just sleep a lot. I'm a real sleepyhead. Thankfully, I'd hate to be awake.
Okay, guys, I'll give you a few minutes to come on if you want to come on and chat backstage. Divine, if you're there, Yvonne, Global, Black Hole says he'd come on.
So
Coming on now. Oh, the Wanderer's here. Hello to the Wanderer. Black Hole, we're waiting for you to come on. Hello to Jay. Jay, is there something you'd like to share with us regarding the topics we've been discussing tonight?
Yeah.
Jay. He's muted. He's gone. Oh, okay.
He's probably just refreshing. But does anybody have any like tips?
For what?
Life.
Sleeping. Oh.
For life.
Wasn't that
Getting
the topic?
a reading habit before bed, bro. No one's doing that, and it helps.
I think detachment came up as one thing. Detachment from things, seeing things mostly as illusions, and that came up earlier. Taking what you need from things and keep moving. You know, don't you know, you can't take what you need from a situation in terms of wisdom and then keep going. You know, and health wise, exercise, diet, these things are definitely very important. Sleep, cleanliness, chores in the home.
So this is all about how I can be healthy in health.
Feng shui. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hello to the Wanderer.
Good evening.
By the way, I believe there is something to feng shui. Not like I think there's definitely something to having an orderly home. It does help.
Yes.
You know?
Oh yeah, no, things that clutter your external environment often lead to clutter in your internal environment.
Yes.
Hello to Jay. Jay, brother, is there something you'd like to say around the topics of the discussion tonight?
No, well, I unfortunately, excuse me. Unfortunately, I missed some of a good chunk of the stream because I was out doing some things. But yeah, I myself have also struggled with, as you guys already know, my mental health, and even having certain unhealthy addictions. So yeah, it's a difficult cycle to break, and I believe that addiction is a way for us as humans to deal with our trauma and even an unhealthy coping mechanism to deal with the stresses of life and the absurdity of being. Like we find ourselves in this world, and we, especially for us pessimists, we don't know what to do with ourselves, so we easily tend to fall into a lot of copes and distractions. So
Yeah.
and addiction. So yeah,
Something that's coming to mind is to be kind to yourself. Definitely be kind to yourself. Don't be hard on yourself. The world is hard enough without you being hard on yourself. Also, to develop your boundaries. Now, that's boundaries with other people. Don't be sycophantic to people you don't actually, view as wholesome or good. If you
yeah,
can avoid it, if you want to have some moral integrity that make you feel good, just be careful who you give authority to, in your life. Yeah,
Jay,
and if you can, that goes to who you work for, who you hang out with, these types of things. I mean, I know it's not always easy, especially the working part of it. Sometimes you have to work in jobs that, just to pay the bills. I understand that. So you also have to realize that, have goals. So if you're in a situation you can't get out of, like the job where you're working for, like an arsehole, for example, just realize that knowing that is a good thing, because you can actually you've identified something that's a problem for you, that is that affects your moral values, for example, and it's something you can work towards moving away from by having a goal. Having goals is very important. What else was I going to say about what is
Jay,
important? Oh yeah, the boundaries. Yeah, I'll come back to it. Something about boundaries, but go ahead. Sorry, you were going to say something.
Jay, in your personal experience, what helps in your personal experience?
with addiction.
No, 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 not addiction. Like just because you said you struggle with the mental health stuff, right? What have you specifically
Yeah.
found helpful?
Well, I guess while coming on here and talking to like-minded people, I feel like that helps. Well, for me as well, to listening to music has also been something that's really healing and therapeutic. And yeah, I would say, what else would I say? I would say just you know, even as much as I'm a homebody, I'm getting outside sometimes and getting some fresh air also helps. So yeah, those are three things I would say that can help someone whose mental health is in the gutter. Community, some fresh air, and something creative that um, instills a sense of awe and beauty in you that you know um, gives you some sort of positive input in your life,
You got any
like
pets,
music.
Jay?
No,
Jay?
but well, not I don't own it, but we have a family dog.
All right. Yeah, I think animals help a lot actually with mood and things.
Yeah,
Yeah, I do. I do.
yeah,
I
they
think
do.
they make a huge difference to one's life. Huge.
Yeah,
They
yeah. There's also like a cow that one of my parents recently got, and that's also being
oh
able
wow,
to see him and pet him sometimes makes me happy. He's so
that's
cute.
gorgeous, isn't he? Or she? Is it a boy or a girl?
It's a boy, I think.
Oh wow. Oh, lucky you.
Yeah, it makes me feel bad for all the dairy I eat sometimes.
Yes. You should try soya. Try Alpo soya. It's very good stuff.
Yeah,
Very good stuff. Because the dairy industry is sick. I mean, it is sick beyond belief.
yeah.
Plus, you do know that cow's milk is
Is
stuffed
that
with.
soy? Is that soy milk? What you just said?
Yes.
Yeah, but soy isn't any better though.
I don't. I do it purely for what's the word? Ethical reasons. It's
Right,
purely.
but I'm just saying. I know, but I'm just saying. I don't. Soy's got a lot of estrogen in it. and I don't think that's
No, it
good
doesn't.
for any.
It
That's a
doesn't have
myth.
enough. It
That's
doesn't have
not
enough to
true.
actually affect hormones. That's a common myth, you
I
know.
don't
And
know if
Exactly, it's a
you'd
myth.
have
That's
to,
not true.
yeah.
Why is it a myth? How's it a myth?
Because because the dairy industry uses propaganda to obviously instill people with a sense of fear about soy so
What
that
if
they
the
purchase
soy
Good
cow
industry
milk.
is
perspective.
telling you that?
Yep. No, that makes sense.
dairy cows are kept in a concentrated pregnancy, meaning that their milk is stuffed full of estrogen, which is why so
Exactly,
many
yeah.
men have got breasts nowadays. You know what? I see men with bigger breasts than I've
But I
got.
could. But here's the problem I have with what you're saying, Chickpea. You know, the dairy industry can say the same thing about you now.
What?
You see how that works? So when
True.
you say,
What do
Yeah.
you mean?
well,
It
I'll
just
tell you
went
what.
back and
Well,
forth with both of you. It went from, estrogen being into soy to estrogen being in milk. It could go both ways.
well, that's what I'm trying to get at is,
I don't drink milk purely for ethical
I
reasons.
don't think soy would be a better alternative.
I do it
I
for
think
ethical reasons.
almond milk would be a better alternative, but I would
Well,
stay far away
Oh,
from
almonds use
soy.
a lot of
I'm
water.
70. I'm 70 years
No,
old.
I get that. I mean, you could make almond milk at home, but however, to be honest, it would cost you more money to make almond milk at home
Yes,
rather
I
than
do.
if you buy the pre-made stuff.
I'm quite
Yep.
happy with soya milk. Perfectly
What's that?
happy. I'm perfectly happy.
That's
No,
good.
I like almond milk.
Well, I just have
Yeah.
soya milk. It's not doing me any harm.
I drink blood.
With blood, though.
I
Is it
I,
baby
al-
blood?
I
The blood
always
of my
Human
suspected
blood?
you were a vampire, Steve. I always knew you were a vampire.
Seriously, don't cross me. I'll drink you.
But see, I tell you, the dairy industry is an abomination against creation. It's really fucked up. It's a
Oh,
nasty.
come on. How can you say that about the dairy industry?
I
How
love
dare you?
dairy. I love meat, but all the industries are fucked up, man.
Yeah, well,
Oh.
they're the biggest fuck ups.
Well, that's the
So
whole
you have
thing,
a
though, with
dog
me
and
is
you have
that
a cow, right? So that's what we were.
But what do you think
Yeah.
about halal? What do you think about halal, Chickpea?
Wait.
Every conversation
Disgusted
devolves
by the
into
whole.
No, wait, Brother Marcus. So yeah,
Yeah, because we
it's
were talking about how you have a dog and you have a cow.
yeah. We got sidetracked.
Yeah, we were talking about mental health and like you have companion animals.
I didn't start it. I
Sure.
Yeah. And what about you? What do you do to ease your mental health?
Who, me? I'm
Anyone?
on. I've always had.
Mental health. Let's see here. Mental health. If you're dealing with
I would have
depression,
told you, Wonder, but unfortunately, I'm interrupted.
if one is dealing with depression, it is a natural emotion that a human can go through. So why numb it? Why do anything you can to not go through it? Now you're going to miss out on a great experience. And if you can get through it without
The
this,
great
just
experience of depression.
yeah, I
yes,
would say a
That's
learned
yes,
I was not about to
experience,
yes.
not
say that.
necessarily a great experience.
Let me finish my point, and then you guys can interrupt. Please let me finish. So the point I'm trying to get at is, whenever it comes to numbing, aside from talking to somebody, I think if you can go and talk to somebody, that'd be awesome. But the stuff that a lot of people do, which is smoke weed, not that I'm against it, right? But if you do believe in that it kills brain cells, or if you believe that it wastes money, or if you believe that it makes you more paranoid, or that it doesn't actually help you become a better person, then obviously it has its own side effects, right? But if you can avoid that, or you can avoid antidepressants, which I've heard nothing but negative things about antidepressants, right? If you could avoid those, if you could avoid alcohol and becoming an alcoholic, for instance, if you could avoid all of those, you can overcome the
This is beginning to
depression.
sound like Rudyard Kipling's poem. If you can hold your head
No,
when all
I'm not.
about you is.
I'm not gonna label
Stoicism
everything.
works.
I'm not gonna list everything. I only listed 3 things. But the point I'm getting at is, it may take you 6 months to go through it naturally. It might take you a year, but once you do get through it, it's beautiful. Now, once you're done that year, you're gonna kind of relapse a little bit again and go through it for another month. But again, you just got to keep fighting it, and then eventually you do grow. You do grow back to a happy state. But
Really?
you
Wait,
don't
wait,
just.
Seeker. What about
Well, I'm
someone like me
trying.
who's been depressed for years? What about someone who's been depressed for years like me?
Okay, well,
Yeah,
let me put on
maybe
my
I'm the same
psychologist
guy.
hat and let me hold on. Well, let me put on the psychologist hat. Let me have a talk with you now. Okay, now, are you able? Do you mind sharing why you're depressed? You don't have to if you don't want to.
No,
Before you do
it's a
that, I want to
combination.
say, guys, I'm going to step away soon. But Divine, do you want to come on? Yvonne, do you want to come on? Join the backstage Friday night party. Black Hole, if you want to come on, if you're there, Global, anybody there, do you want to come on? Now's your time. Black Hole said he was going to come on, but I don't know what's happened to the man.
Thanks, DNW, again for giving us the space. Good on you, mate.
Yeah, no, you're
Yeah,
welcome. It's been a quite a fun one, you know.
yeah.
Yeah, we'll go on with that Course in Miracles. As I say, I won't promise it. I'll have a look because I reckon it will take a long time, and I don't know how we do it. You know, whether we do it once a week or like I don't want to commit to it every bloody stream. You know, because it's a long book and that would take a long time to read
Yeah.
because discussions and such. So it might be just to devote one stream a week to it. You know, and I know that would take ages, but that might be a better way of doing it. What do you think?
Well, for me, the thing that I find fascinating in the Course in Miracles is that if your brain sort of naturally aligns with that thought process, you could practically skim the damn book and you'll still get insights.
Right. Well,
kind of repetitive at some parts too.
Oh
oh
So
yeah, it can
no,
definitely
oh
be
no.
repetitive.
The
So
curse
yeah.
of repetition. I mean, we got that with the Pisces of it, and we definitely got that with the
Oh yeah, the
Tibetan book,
Bible. We got it on
the
everything.
Tibetan Book of the Dead as well. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, we live in hope. So, guys, on you come. Divine Hazel, I know you like chatting after the show. Yvonne, please, the link is there. I'm going to give it again, and then I'm going to shut this down in literally a few minutes. So please, don't keep me up all night waiting for you. Right.
But you
Whilst we're waiting
can't
for them,
sleep anyway, dear.
So, Wander,
well,
were
no,
you gonna?
I can't. No, I'm not a
Mhm.
long. Like, I don't have insomnia all the time. Only sometimes when I'm a
I was
little bit
being
stressed.
facetious.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I know. But it's definitely not something pleasant, you know.
I
What
would
was I
know.
going to say? Well, we go around the houses and just give some closing remarks while we're waiting for the others to come on. Gaia, do you want to give your closing remarks for the show, maybe on topic or anything about what we were talking about?
Man, why don't you come back to me, man? You just put me first thing.
No,
You
it's
put me
really
first
not
in the
that deep.
queue. Put me on spot, man.
It's not that deep, bro. Get used to it. You're basically part of the furniture now. So yeah,
All
closing
right.
remarks.
I guess my closing thoughts are just, be open-minded, try to think positively, but be aware of boundaries and just, keep on working at that mental health, even if you're healthy. We all need to work on that.
Okay, thank you, sir. And Yerf Dogs, your closing remarks for today.
Yeah, just want to say thanks, mate. I don't want to sort of sound. No, that's cool. That's all I'll say. Thank you very much. Good conversation.
Okay, thank you, sir. Chickpea, any closing
Thanks
remarks
for
from you,
being
madam?
here. It's all been above my out of my comprehension, all beyond me, I'm afraid, today. Everything.
Okay. Yvonne says that they've got a visitor over and they're going to have supper. Okay. Bon appetit, mon ami. Enjoy. Nice to have you with us as always, Yvonne. Hopefully you'll come on next time. Have a nice weekend. We will go to Sika next then. Sika, your closing remarks for tonight.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me on, and yeah, man, appreciate it.
Okay, Curious Curmudgeon, brother, your closing remarks, sir.
I'd like to also thank you for this space, and I would implore you again to please reduce your anger.
Fuck you! No, I didn't really mean that. Okay, thank you, Curious, for making us laugh as well. That's good. The Wanderer, your closing remarks.
I just hope everyone stay safe and is able to find some sort of positivity out of this hellscape that we live in, and find some sort of joy in their life.
Lovely sentiments. Divine Hazer, I know you just joined, but you'll have to give your closing remarks.
Well, I didn't really want to join because you've been so angry the whole time.
Have I? You got me. Do you know, Divine? You got me though. You're a sly one. I didn't think you had that level of ability to present things in deadpan humor. Fair play. Very well done. Divine. Other than that, any closing remarks?
Never underestimate me, dude.
No. Okay.
Never.
Right. I think I'm gonna be shaking all night now. I definitely won't be able to
Good. You'll sleep well then.
Yes. Black Hole, I'll share the link one more time for you. There you go. Black Hole says he's having technical issues. He's trying to come on, but he can't. Try again, Black Hole. The link is there. I'll wait for you. In closing, then, guys, it's been a fun one. Even though we talk about some disturbing stuff, we still bizarrely have fun. Not from a kind of sadistic perspective, but at least we, as an intellectual pursuit, it is interesting to talk about things and learn, little bits here and there. So I appreciate all of you for teaching me things. I do appreciate it. Black Hole, you have about 10-20 seconds to come on, but I will end it then. So we'll give it a little countdown for you. But yeah.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4,
That'll work.
3, 2, 1.
Yeah. I don't think you're going to come on. What I would advise you to do, Black Hole, is save the StreamYard link and come on in the next few minutes, because I'll wait around. But I'm going to end the show and I'll probably leave in about 5 minutes. Totally. So there you go. All right, everybody, for listening. Thank you very much. Chat to you and see you next time. Take care, everyone.
Cheers,
Bye.
mate.
Bye-bye.